Good morning, everybody. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I debate politics and related matters with strangers from the public on TikTok. We've got news today, but before that, if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, remember that you've got a pinned comment that'll tell you when the calls start, and there are timestamps in the description. W staff for doing the timestamps for me. I'm not the one who does them anymore. I pay somebody to do it. Yay. Thanks to the donations, everybody. There's fucking news today. I put it on the prompt. You know, the news matters every day. But I'm in a privileged position to talk about the way in which certain particular news stories are maybe going to affect public discourse. Because Trump supporters have been defending him on Carrol. It's the one thing they've been kind of consistent on from when I started doing these debate lives in February, is that they really hate her and think she's a liar. But we now get to add the cherry on top of every argument I've ever made, which is that the Supreme Court has rejected Donald Trump's appeal on the Carrol case. He was found civilly liable of sexually abusing her. For anybody living under a rock who's not aware of that story, the Supreme Court agrees Donald Trump has sexually assaulted Carrol. Oh God, Exterminator 2 is here? Never mind all the housekeeping. They also ruled on mail-in voting. That's very important, but we're going to talk to Exterminator 2. I'm sorry. Are you asking what the Supreme Court's evidence was?
Yeah.
We're hitting the ground running. All right, wait, so we're just going to start the entire argument about Carrol over from the beginning? Because nothing new has happened. The reason they rejected his appeal is because every argument that I've ever made in favor of suggesting that Donald Trump raped Carrol was a good one. You recognize that, right?
You're not answering my question. What was the evidence?
So here, wait, let me just make sure I understand your tactic. You are going to have amnesia about every argument that has ever happened about Carrol, and you're going to pretend
that... We never discussed about that.
I am sure. I don't believe you, Exterminator. I bet you and I have talked about Carrol. I bet you've talked to lots of hosts.
We really...
Excuse me. I'm calling some bullshit that you're performing right now, and I just want to be clear about what I'm saying you're doing. You are going to, now that this ruling comes out, you're going to go into lives. You're doing it with mine right now. You're going to pretend that no argument has ever been made about her, and because there's a new ruling, I'm not saying that that's what you said. I'm telling everybody that is my assessment of what you are doing.
Okay, that's your assumption. Okay,
it's not an assumption. I that's I am assuming that
you
that's your behavior.
You don't know what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm accusing you of that because I have social skills and I'm a reasonable person. I think it's absolutely...
You think you have social skills and you think you're a reasonable person. What's the evidence?
Okay, do we need to go over piece by piece the evidence in the Carrol case?
We never had a conversation about that.
Stop interrupting me as I ask how... Dude. You're not behaving very well in the conversation.
Go ahead.
Are you I'm going to clarify my question because you cut me off when I was asking it. Are you, to be clear, asking me to start over from square one and tell you why I think Carrol is guilty? Is that what's fucking happening right now? Seriously?
Start from square one. I just joined your... Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Are you uneducated about the Carrol case? Be honest. Okay, what? Here, you know what? You're the one who called in screaming. Why don't you tell me your assessment of the Carrol case?
No. Answer my question. What was the evidence? You're
can't make me do shit, buddy. It's my show, and I'm curious what you have to say about Carrol.
He's running.
Let's hear it. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of my argument. What's your argument to the contrary?
What's your argument?
Right now, here's where we're going to go with this, because I've been through the details so many times. I'm sure I'm going to do the details a lot today. My argument, my presentation to you is that the Supreme Court ruled today, or they didn't even rule, they rejected his appeal. It's the same evidence it's been the entire time. You said you're educated about the case. Tell us about the details of the case.
Tell us about the details. Let me remember. We have a woman who's falsely claiming with no evidence at all.
I'm sorry. Asserting from the onset that she's falsely claiming. You can use words like alleges or something like that. That's fine. But if you're asserting factually that she's... why don't you speak appropriately about it? Because we're talking about the Supreme Court agreeing that the president is a rapist and you're not taking it all that seriously. Start over. Try again.
Great. Allegedly, because once again, there's no evidence to prove that these claims are true, but allegedly...
I'm sorry. I asked for you to tell me the details of the case, not your opinion about it. Try again. Round 3.
Once again, allegedly, it's not an opinion. Allegedly, what you call it? We have a woman who is claiming that Donald Trump raped her. And
you can say raped on my show. Grow the fuck up. The president's a rapist. You can say rape on my show.
You can't say rape on TikTok Live, buddy.
You have to say rape on my show, or I'm gonna kick you. Grow up. Let's talk like adults. The president's a rapist. The Supreme Court agrees. It's my show, dude. I'm the one who's gonna get in trouble. Chill out. You can say rape because the president's a rapist.
But you want to kick me so badly. I can see that.
I just want you to call the president a rapist instead of a rapist, because I think saying rapist is fucking silly, and I've learned I don't have to do it on my show to succeed.
Well,
so
I said what happened. We have a woman who's claiming that Donald Trump raped her in a hotel.
That is the accusation. What are the facts of the case?
I don't think there's any facts of the case, actually. I'm not aware of any.
So you haven't, you think that there wasn't any evidence in the E. Jean Carroll case? You're not familiar with the exhibits?
I haven't really talked about this.
Okay, then why are you so sure that the Supreme Court is wrong for rejecting his appeal?
I never said it was wrong. That's a straw man.
Then what is this conversation? What is this conversation? Why have you called into my show?
Okay, let me explain something, right? Where I said, the first thing I said in the very beginning that you dodged the question. What was the evidence? Me asking for evidence doesn't mean I'm saying the claim is wrong.
Okay, let me just ask point blank. Do you think that the Supreme Court...
You're not answering the question.
I would, yeah, because I think it's hilarious that you don't even know the evidence of this case. Dude, there's hours of me talking about the details of this case on my YouTube channel. I don't need to prove to you or anybody else that I know the details of the case. You need to prove to me right now that you know the details of the case. I'm just saying that it's not a gotcha to say to Oskar Quentin that he doesn't know the details of the E. Jean Carroll case on this particular day in June in 2026, because I've just spent several months talking hours a week to the public about the details of the case. You have called in about it, so stop interrupting me and allow me to clarify a couple of things about this conversation. First of all, you mentioned a hotel. Hotel was not involved. That's not where it happened. It's at a department store. So that's one detail of the case that you've mentioned. So far, you are 0 for 1 about getting the actual facts of the case correctly. Now shut up and listen while I direct the conversation, because you have not shut your mouth since you joined my call. And I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying. I'm not. You keep saying give me the evidence, but I just want to ask this question because you've called in on E. Jean Carroll Day, where the Supreme Court has finally thrown out the final legal avenue that Trump has to fight this, which is his appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court. True or false? Yes or no? A or B? This or that? Black or white? Do you think that the Supreme Court rejecting this appeal should be the final straw for Trump? Should be the last time we can say that he didn't do it?
Is somebody calling you, Brodiki? Okay, repeat that question.
Do you think that Trump did it?
I don't know. Very agnostic on this topic. That's why I'm asking for evidence.
Okay, then why did you call in and start yelling at me about it?
Because I'm asking for evidence.
But so you don't know the evidence of the case.
Exactly.
Why are you so worked up about it then?
You're the only one that's been screaming and cussing and saying.
I know why I'm worked up about it. It's because the president's a rapist and the Supreme Court agrees, and you're calling into my show and giving me a hard time about it, even though you don't know the details of the case.
How am I giving you a hard time, buddy?
I'm going to savor the evidence. We're going to spread it out over the next 2 hours because people like you are going to call in and try to tell me otherwise.
Can you spread it now?
So wait, hold on. Let me just. I've talked to you before, dude. I kind of understand.
You're ducking. You're ducking. You know what a duck is?
Yes, I explained the fact that there's hours of content of me describing the specific details.
I don't care how many hours or months you have on this topic. I don't care. That's irrelevant. Give me that. Okay. Just because you have months on this topic doesn't mean you're more credible.
I'm just saying that nobody's going to believe that you think that you have this gotcha that I don't know the details, because there's hours and hours of me talking about the details. I want to understand your opinion.
Your chat thinks?
Given that you are uneducated about this case, I'm trying to understand why you are being so adversarial in this conversation with me.
Adversarial? What does that mean?
You don't know what the word adversarial means?
No, what does that mean?
Do you know what the word adversary means?
Okay. I don't understand why you keep saying like I'm worked up or I'm being adversary or I'm saying...
sorry. You wanted me to explain what the word adversarial is. I appreciate you asking me what a word means. That's a really polite and important thing to do in a conversation when you don't know a word.
So like I said, I'm agnostic.
I asked you for a derivative words. No, we're just going to stay on one thing. Do you know what the word adversary means?
No. What's the word? What's the definition?
It means enemies or opponents.
I'm being an enemy or an opponent on this topic. That's what you're saying.
You know what? I believe the mods that you're a rage baiter. I'm blocking you. I'm done with you.
Of course. You're running. You're running. You're running. You're running.
Thank you for the answer. Yeah, it's just fucking horseshit. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of that today. It's gonna be a lot of just like. It's going to just be a lot of like, nope, what evidence? There's no evidence. There's no evidence. The Supreme Court must be ridiculous. Boo, it doesn't matter. The other important thing they ruled on today, because we don't have another caller in the queue just yet, is that they did rule in a Mississippi case to protect mail-in voting. There's a Mississippi case about specifically whether or not ballots should be counted if they are postmarked before the election but received after the election. Trump has fastidiously been trying to get those sorts of votes thrown out because they are disproportionately blue votes, because mail-in votes are disproportionately blue. The Supreme Court has ruled in favor of counting those votes in the state of Mississippi, but because the Supreme Court presides over the entire country, that is now the law of the land for everywhere. That is the precedent. Yes, if the mail-in votes are postmarked by the election date, which means that they were out of the hand of the voter but in the hands of the Postal Service by the time of the election, but not yet at the wherever they count the ballots, those still count. That's important. That's one of the ways in which they were trying to erode away democracy, erode away people's rights, disenfranchise blue voters before November. So that's a super important ruling. And in terms of the actual outcomes of cases, in terms of the actual things that matter in terms of what's happening in this country, the E. Jean Carroll case isn't going to change very much. Trump was already guilty of that. Trump was already found civilly liable. It's his, he just appeals everything to smithereens. So it's just kind of finally over, but nothing's actually going to happen now. Whereas with mail-in voting, this is an important ruling in terms of November. This is an important ruling in terms of the outcome of American politics in this country, because those votes will be counted. That's what happens. Oh man, we hit the ground running so hard. I didn't even remember to put my backup account in the box. Let's get that in there so everybody can subscribe to Oskar Quentin 2 for when Oskar Quentin without the 2 gets banned for, I don't know, saying that Donald Trump is a rapist or something. It's a tricky thing that caller did, where it's like, you can say I'm running, and I explained why it's not running, and then he's just going to jump on that. And it's an obvious troll call. I know that caller is familiar with the details of the case. He's just trying to make me look bad in the context of this conversation instead of in the context of all the conversations. But I have to give him like 5-7 minutes or something, or else people think I am just running from a difficult conversation. But no, that guy is disingenuous. And you know what? Over the last week, I've become a little more popular, and I have begun to ban some of my disingenuous callers, because if you're obviously disingenuous, get the fuck off my show. I'm really seeking to have honest conversations. So Oskar Quentin 2 down here, if you're watching on TikTok. And if you're watching on TikTok and you think I'm wrong about any of this and you want to talk about E. Jean Carroll, for the first day in like 100 days, I'm actually excited to talk about E. Jean Carroll. Like, normally I'm like, E. Jean Carroll, but it's the news today. What do you have to say for yourself? And I think maybe that caller has found the strategy. They're going to start over from square one. They're going to say, what's the evidence? I'm sorry. The only evidence was that she said this, which is not at all true. That caller didn't even know where the crime allegedly happened. Somebody's asking, Andrea's asking me, is it best to message me on Instagram? It is. I am doing my week turnover with a staff member tonight, so I will be going through my inboxes over the last week and making sure that I follow up on everything. So forgive me if I've left you hanging. I can advertise how good I am at going through my inboxes, but then if the number of messages that I get doubles, whatever I told you about that will be wrong. But Instagram, despite being where I have the most followers, is actually the inbox that I keep most tidy. This TikTok account, the inbox is a total mess on. I didn't notice that Dean Withers messaged me. Whoops. Oh man, what's going on in the chat? Oh yeah, people are upset about E. Jean Carroll, as am I. Mother of Bulldogs says, what's in the news? In short, for everybody who's joined in the last few minutes, the Supreme Court has thrown out Trump's final appeal on the E. Jean Carroll case. It's over. There's nothing left he can do. It made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and they said, nah, dude, you raped her, obviously, and they threw that shit out. They didn't even have to rule on it. That's very exciting to me. But I'm getting the sense that it is just going to be another day of people denying it outright. But you know what? I'm for it today. Let's have an E. Jean Carroll episode. Let's celebrate that. And let's seriously celebrate the fact that they're protecting mail-in voting, because that actually matters in a much more tangible way. I care a lot about the E. Jean Carroll appeal being rejected in terms of discourse and convincing people that Trump is bad, which matters. But it doesn't affect laws in this country. It's not going to really be important. We don't need any new Supreme Court precedent on how raping people is bad. That's just Trump being an asshole and fighting his appeals all the way to the top. Whereas the mail-in voting thing actually matters. They've been trying to get rid of mail-in voting in all the ways they can. One of them is by getting rid of mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day but were mailed before Election Day. Those are protected by the Supreme Court now in a 5-4 ruling, which means it was close. That's an important ruling. Because it was 5-4, because it was one at all, we know that we had, at least in this case, it was 2 of the more conservative-leaning justices that sided in favor of democracy. And that's what we're looking for in terms of November. We saw it in the Supreme Court today, where we had right-leaning not elected officials, appointed officials, the Supreme Court justices, siding with the Constitution instead of Trump. That's what this is all about. Are we listening to the man in charge, or are we listening to the document to which he swore his oath? It must be the latter, and a couple of Supreme Court justices on this particular ruling decided with the latter instead of the former. Are we going to see politicians do that after November? I think we're not going to get an impeachment conviction through democracy. I don't think it's mathematically at all possible for Democrats to win that many seats in the Senate. But it is possible for between now and then for there to be so great a tidal wave of change in public sentiment about this that come November, just like we saw with the Epstein files, where a couple of Republicans decided it was time to flip. Like, we could see the handful of Republicans needed to flip from defending Trump instead of defending the Constitution. Call it wishful thinking, but because I consider it a practical possibility, even if it's less than 1%, like 1% is pretty good if we're trying to fucking save democracy. So I consider it. I talk about it. I value it. It's important. Thank you for the donations, everybody. There's a link tree in my bio with a new link in it. The new link is to the Discord. You still have to get approved, so don't think it's, going to be easy to raid the Discord or anything like that. So you can get a ticket sent in on there through the link in the link tree in my bio if you want to be a member of the community. We're going to be setting up some new roles so that we can better organize the effort to help me run the show better, because there's so many people helping it's getting a little bit disorganized. That's a good problem, but we're working on it, because it's not made yet, but there's going to be what's called a worker bee role, and the job of the worker bees will be trusted parties who know how to give good sources and know how they want me to package information to get it to me live, so that there can be an army of people to do fact checking. If I'm busy, like find information. If I'm out on the ground filming at a protest or something, like that's a project that's being worked on that I'm really, really excited about. So check that out along with all the other things in the link tree in the bio, because you can follow me on all the other platforms for free. Watch the VODs when I'm not live, because 2 hours of me gets uploaded to YouTube every day. So go stick me in your ear if you're mowing the lawn. And all that stuff really does support, like the follower counts matter in terms of me, getting pushed in the algorithm and being taken seriously by politicians like Doug Chapin, who's going to be coming on the 7 p.m. evening show on a Sunday coming up soon, 7 p.m. Central Time on YouTube for that. All that stuff's happening, and you can help out by following. Doesn't cost a dime. If you have a dime you want to spare, you can send it to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon, just like Danielle chose to with her $4 this morning. She sent me $4 and said, "Happy you're here." I'm happy you're here, Daniel. Thank you. Danielle, sorry. I have that glitch forever. I've been mixing up Daniel and Danielle when reading since I was a kid. Anyway, Jared sent me $25 on Venmo to add. Let's see. MAGA are the gayest men. They hate women, obsess over gay individual sex lives, and call a makeup wearing queen daddy. Happy Pride. Jared, I agree. For people who hate gay people as much as they do, they tend to do some pretty gay things, like thinking about gay sex constantly, like thinking about the genitals of people that are, according to their homophobia, the wrong gender for them. Very, very funny. Bots be botting today. Are the mods having a hard time? I don't know. Let me know. Let's keep an eye on that. We've got Beto in the queue, so I'm going to check my Cash App real quick just to make sure I don't leave anybody behind. And then we're going to see if he wants to talk about Egypt. No, he's gone. LooksMax is here. Concerning username. I'm going to see what type of character LooksMax is. How old are you? If he connects. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. Nope. Gabs in the chat says, "Oh no, not LooksMax." We'll see how it goes. Hey, how old are you?
21.
21. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I feel like, if you voted for someone, then why would you stop supporting him if my life hasn't changed that much?
2 reasons. Well, I guess it's really just the one. Why does it matter if your life has changed or not? Does your life have to change in order for the president to be a bad president?
If for me, right, if a president is bad, it will make a change in my life in a negative way. If he does change my life in a positive way, or it stays, as normal as it is, and I guess that he's just doing a normal job, right?
Okay, so here, I'm going to present a hypothetical just to make sure that your argument makes sense. You think that if your life doesn't get any worse, then it's not really reasonable to say that the president's doing a bad job. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, in my opinion, yes.
Yeah, I want to understand your opinion correctly. So let's just hypothetically, we've got President Billy Bob. Now, President Billy Bob takes the military and he murders 1,000 children on television. He also writes you a check for $1 million. Is Billy Bob a bad president?
So like, why 1,000 children? Like how you said it. Yes,
doesn't matter what he did. An arbitrarily bad thing. So the fact that you're going after the details of my hypothetical suggests to me that maybe you're not tracking the hypothetical. Doesn't matter that it's 1,000 kids. He could have kicked a dog in the face. He could have. It doesn't matter, right? Like, use your imagination. Real bad thing, but because it didn't affect you and he wrote you a check for $1 million, according to your reasoning, Billy Bob should still be a good president, right?
If it was unjustified, then no, he shouldn't be a president.
Okay, so your reason for defending Trump is bullshit then.
How is it bullshit? Because I told you that. What has he done? You're giving me a hypothetical that's not even realistic, because the president has not unalived a specific gender, race, or age.
He did bomb a school.
It's still under investigation.
No, it's not. He lied about it, and that's why people like you get to say that that's under investigation. But it was a Tomahawk missile. The only people involved in the conflict who had Tomahawk missiles was us. He suggested to the press that Iran did it to themselves to make us look bad. The press immediately asked him point blank, in person, with words, in a conversation like this one, are you suggesting that Iran has Tomahawk missiles? To which he kind of just got all flustered and didn't really answer. No, dude, we bombed a school. They were next to a military base, and the building that the school was used to be part of the military base, but because Iran, under the JCPOA, had been doing some demilitarization, they thought instead of using this building for a military base, we should use it for a school. And we knew that. We had the intelligence, but we failed to update our targeting systems. So we accidentally bombed this fucking school and then lied about it to the public in a way that's clear as day, as I just described. And you're sitting here defending it. So no, it's actually not all that different than the president killing 1,000 kids. It's more like the president killing 174 kids and then lying about it, because that is what happened. Well, he also didn't write you a check for $1 million.
Well, you're saying it like it's 100% confirmed yet, even though there's an investigation. And also,
we're getting away from the hypothetical, Israel? And I'm not going to allow that to happen. We're going to move right back to
Israel?
It. No. The president does an arbitrarily bad thing, but writes you a check for $1 million.
Answer that, though.
No, we're going to go back to the hypothetical that you didn't understand.
No, but could it be Israel? I'm telling you, if it was us, right? Well, let's say that the investigation was closed, and guess what? It was, either Israel or...
No, I'm not going to let you get sidetracked by this particular example of a bad thing that the president has done. I want to get back to the fact that you didn't understand how my analogy applies, which suggests to me that your brain's not working properly. Do you think that you should support the president if your life stays the same or improves, regardless of what he does elsewhere as president?
Yes. Personally, because I think that I'm competing against other people. So you think
that you should support Billy Bob as president in spite of him killing 1,000 kids because he made your life better by giving you a check for $1 million?
I don't engage with
If you don't engage with hypotheticals, you're unqualified to talk about politics, and I am now unwilling to discuss any topic with you other than exactly that. The fact that, yes, you have to engage with
why do you use an unrealistic hypothetical?
To demonstrate, it's a reduction by its absurdity. You used some reasoning, and the thing about reasoning is that reasoning has to apply regardless of how big the numbers are. So whether we're talking about a $1,200 stimulus check or $1 million doesn't matter. The reasoning still needs to work, and your reasoning is bad. I used your reasoning to come up with a situation where your reasoning would lead you to support a president who killed 1,000 children without good cause. You need to recognize that that is a problem with your reasoning. You're saying that you don't engage with hypotheticals because you don't want that to be a problem with your reasoning.
Did it
the fact of the matter is that it is.
Okay, I got a question for you. Let's engage.
No. I'm actually going to ask you to wait just a moment and think about it while I thank some donors, because I seriously want you to consider why I should listen to your reason for supporting Trump when I can use the same reason to support hypothetical Billy Bob, the president who killed 1,000 kids and sent you a check for $1,000 or for $1 million. I want you to think quietly about that and not answer. Think with your brain, not your mouth, while I thank the donors. And when I come back from thanking the donors, then we can have a conversation about it. And if you don't engage with it, I'm going to
go ahead. Thank your donors, my guy. You're talking too much.
I'm sorry. Should I talk less on my 2-hour talk show?
Just thank your donors. You don't have to say a whole monologue about it. Go talk.
Marsha became a member today on YouTube. Thank you. Welcome to the team. And Zipeoig? I don't know how to pronounce that, but he or she sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say Trump is a rapist, SCOTUS 2026, SCOTUS 2026, quoting the SCOTUS. By the way, call me Zeppy. Is it Zeppy or Zeepy? because I will send more money. Whichever it is. Is it Zeppi? Let me know. Liam sent me $5 on YouTube to say, typical, it's not a problem until it affects me, MAGA, moron defense. Yeah, the caller's position is not just, like, obviously wrong in the Billy Bob example. It's just also generally fucking reprehensible, which is why it leads to bad outcomes like the Billy Bob sort of analogy that I'm going for here. Kronos, W to the new mods on YouTube, made some new people mods during the members only stream last night because I got some trusted parties and the chats are getting out of hand. He sent me $5 to say, thought I'd make it longer, but my body is screaming for sleep. Have a good stream, Oscar. I'll be here tomorrow for the full stream. Kronos is very, very tired. Can we get some lullabies in the chat for Kronos? He's been awake for like 24 hours because he had a work thing happen, but I've been getting kept up with that in the chats. Okay. Why can't you engage with a hypothetical?
Because your hypothetical was unrealistic. You said a murder 1,000 children. Obviously, that's bad, right? But that's not going to ever happen. You can say bomb 1,000 people. Obviously, that's differently, and it could be possible. But you're saying 1,000 kids. It's just,
okay.
I don't know.
So another word for a hypothetical is a thought experiment. I intentionally chose extreme things. Why is it that you pointed out that killing 1,000 kids is unreasonable, not giving you $1 million is unreasonable? Do you think that the president giving you $1 million is reasonable? Because that was the other half of the analogy.
Because for example, I value life over money, right? So you said $1 million. Obviously, unaliving 1,000 people would be unjustified in my perspective, right? But like, if you're in a war and people get unalived,
you're adding details to it that make it acceptable, and I'm just talking about arbitrarily. You cannot say that because the president is improving your life, but that you don't care about everything else he's doing, because you're demonstrating that
I don't care.
You do care because you're saying that you care about life over money. You're saying that in the analogy, if the president kills 1,000 kids and gives you $1 million, he's a bad president because you care about the kids. So that makes it not make sense to me.
About life, specifically my life.
You're telling me that you support Trump because he's making your life good and you don't care what he does to other people. But that's wrong. But you do, because I just presented a hypothetical where the president did something bad to other people and you don't care. Donald Trump is responsible for more than 1,000 deaths. His COVID misinformation killed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. Like, what are you talking about? He bombed a school.
His vaccine, what was it called again? The vaccine for COVID that helped thousands of people, right? So
there were several vaccines.
The one vaccines. What was it called? I forgot, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
The chat's talking about the USAID cuts, which also seriously caused a lot of people to die, and you just don't care. Like, why don't you? Like, what are you talking about?
Because like I said,
why are you asking me all these details?
No, because in the world, we compete against other people, right? If your life isn't better, if your life is getting worse after a president came into office, then yes, you can hate on it. But if you care about other people's opinions, if you care about what's going on around in the world, guess what? You're never going to live a good life. You should care about your own life. That's what I do. I care about my own life. If the president... Humanity's
been working on this problem, and enlightened people have figured out that what you're doing is shitty and will make you lonely.
But like, am I a politic or something to engage? Do I want to be in the government? Do I want to be someone? No, I don't. So do I care about politics? No, I don't.
Why the fuck are you calling into my show?
Because you're talking to me, why do I support the president? Because I care about myself.
No, you called into my show. I wouldn't be talking to you unless you called in. So no, me talking to you isn't a reason for you to call in. If you don't care about politics, why did you call in? I think you're running. I think I'm making sense to you. So you're just flipping the table by saying I don't care about politics.
So why do you support the president? It's a personal opinion. So I said,
why did you call in?
I called in because I wanted to tell you that I support the president because he has...
I'm sorry, I thought you don't care about politics.
I don't care about politics. I don't care.
Then why'd you call in? To tell me about the president.
To tell you why I support the president. I'm not making a change.
I thought you don't care about politics, though.
I don't care, but you live popped up in my For You page.
Do you or do you not care about politics?
No, I don't care if a president gets kicked out. Don't really care. Don't really care.
Okay, no, the question is generally, do you care about politics?
No, I don't. I don't engage in politics.
You have called into a political debate live. Hundreds of people are watching. About, 500, 600 people are watching. What do you mean you don't care about politics? What do you mean you don't engage in politics? You are engaging in politics by talking to me. I'm a political commentator. What the fuck is this? What are you talking about?
Because you're asking to me, why do I support the president?
But I asked you that after you called into my show. Why did you call into my show?
I called into your show to tell you why I support a president. That's why.
You support a rapist.
Now you want to pivot to...
Do you value the rulings of the Supreme Court? The decisions of the Supreme Court? Because they didn't even rule on it. They rejected an appeal. The Supreme Court agrees he's a rapist.
About what? The civil lawsuit? That's what you're talking about?
Talking about Agent Carrol, who he raped.
Oh, so it's what was burden of proof? I think it was more. I think it's
I have
more
to
likely
say, every
than
time the
not.
burden of proof comes up, that there are three burdens of proof that I consider on this show. There's criminal trial, where the burden of proof is a little higher than in a civil trial. In a civil court, it's a little bit lower than in a criminal court, but lower yet, we have the court of public opinion, which is where you and I are sitting right now here in the public in front of hundreds of people. We are having a discussion in the court of public opinion about whether or not Donald Trump is a rapist. And the burden of proof is higher in a civil litigation than it is in the court of public opinion. If you support the guy as president, you need to be really sure that he's not a rapist. Not
More
really
likely
sure
than
that
not.
he is a rapist to not vote for him. It's the other way
More
around.
likely than not. So it could be 51-49, right? So I'm gonna
You
say
ignored
you know
everything
what?
I said.
He was not. He was not.
You
Proven.
ignored everything I said.
was
Do you
not
recognize?
proven.
No, you ignored everything I said. Do you recognize?
I didn't.
What did I say?
Keep going, my guy. You talk a lot. Keep going.
If you were listening,
Burden
and you
of
didn't
proof
ignore
is
it,
higher in a civil court. You said, but we're now having
then
like
what?
we're having a conversation. You said
Higher
so
than what?
higher than a criminal court. Fuck.
No, that's not what I said. You weren't listening. That's actually backwards of what I said.
You said
I don't
civil
think you were-
litigation. It's higher than civil litigation.
Hold on, pause. I don't think you understand my argument. You said you were listening. Can you want to try again? I talked about the three types
Keep
of...
going. Keep talking. Go ahead. You're
No.
rage bait.
No, I think you're caught because you weren't listening to the word I was saying, and you know that makes you look real bad in front of my audience. Do you want to admit that you weren't listening so I can explain it again?
Go ahead, speak, my guy. You don't need approval every single time. Do you
Yes, I
get
do.
happy when you
That's
get
all-
approval?
Well, I prove things on the show. That's the whole point. So again, we have a fork in the road here. You're either going to tell me what I said to prove that you were listening, or you're going to admit that you weren't listening, and I'm going to explain it again. These are the only options. Which one are you going to pick?
Yeah, drink water, my guy. Holy.
Hydrated, folks. Yeah. Which
You
is
said,
it? Are you going to?
said that right now we're having a civil litigation. You said that the burden of proof is higher than you said it's lower. I don't know. You said it's higher than a civil court or something.
Yeah, I said a bunch of those words, but I don't think you listened to the substance of what I was
Go
saying.
ahead
Can
and
you
speak.
admit?
You know what? I didn't understand you because you yap a lot. So go ahead and repeat it again.
As an aside, just so you know, if you don't understand something that I say, please stop me and say, "Hey, I didn't understand that." That would be the good faith thing to do. You know that, right?
Go ahead, speak, bro.
I do that when the caller says something that I don't understand. I say, "Hold on, I'm not understanding what you're saying. Can you please explain that more
Okay.
clearly?"
Not everyone's like you. Go ahead and
Well,
speak.
I'm a teacher. One of the things I
Okay,
do is
go
I sit here
ahead
and
and
teach people how to engage with these things, and I think it's an important aside that if you're confused,
Well,
you need
you
to
just
stop
called.
me.
Wait. So if you're a teacher, why did you call someone a rapist if he has not been proven guilty of this crime?
See, we're trying to have a conversation about that, but you lack the basic conversational and critical reasoning skills necessary for such a conversation. So
Well,
we're
if you
talking
call
about
someone a
that
rapist, it
instead.
means that he's proven, correct? If I call someone a rapist, does that mean
You're moving
he's
on to
proven?
other things, and I will remind you that we're
Well,
still at
because-
the fork in the road where you tell me
because
either
you're
what
a
I said
teacher.
about the three burdens of
You're a
proof,
bad teacher,
or
man.
you admit that you weren't listening.
No,
and I
I
explain
didn't
it
understand
again.
you. Go ahead.
Gish
I
galloping.
didn't
You're moving
understand
on to
you
other
because
things.
you yapped a lot. I didn't
so
understand you.
do you want me to
because
slow it
yapped a
down?
lot.
I'll
Go
explain
ahead
it
and
again.
repeat it. No, repeat it again.
Okay, I'll explain it again. Please listen this time. I'll slow down. There's three burdens of proof that I consider when we're trying to assess whether or not somebody's guilty of doing a thing. And I recognize that the highest level, criminal litigations, criminal court cases, those do have a higher burden of proof than civil litigations. We send people to jail, and that's worse than taking money from people. So we take that much more seriously than we take civil litigations. Because it's still bad to take money from somebody who doesn't deserve to have money taken from them. But we recognize that we can slide the scale a little bit on how important the burden of proof is to make sure that we don't have any false positives, because people don't go to prison about it. People don't have their freedom taken away from it. They just have their money taken away. And then in the court of public opinion, there's less of a burden because we take less away. The public opinion, in the court of public opinion, we can't imprison people. We can't take money away from people, but we can take responsibilities away from people. We can take power away from people. If you're the CEO of a company and people are pretty sure that you're a rapist, that's a good reason to not be a CEO of a company. If the public and the shareholders and the customers are convinced that you're a rapist, that's real bad. Never mind a civil litigation. Never mind a court of public opinion. I could even argue that just the public thinking that you are that makes you a bad CEO, even if that's kind of a bummer for you. Because as the burden of proof expands, we allow these sorts of false positives for the reason that I just explained. So we are having a conversation, you and me, not in a criminal court where the burden is very high, not in a civil court where the burden is still high, not quite as high as a criminal court, but where the burden was met for Donald Trump doing something horrible that most people consider to be a rape to E. Jean Carroll. We're in a level below that. We are in the court of public opinion. And to support somebody for president, you need to be damn sure that they're not a rapist. And I'm trying to understand how you don't recognize that it is a higher burden of proof than we need down here in the court of public opinion, that the Supreme Court of the United States ruled against him. You're driving. Goodbye.
No, I'm not driving.
You hit the horn, dude. Come on. God damn it. I wish he was going to answer to that. For fuck's sake. If you guys like the show, linktree in the bio. The Discord's in there now. So set up a ticket and convince the mods that you aren't going to be trouble. Jessica sent me $1 on Venmo. She says, what did Dean say? Huge Dean fan. Oh, Jessica might just not be aware. Dean popped into my show, said hello, said some nice things about me. He let me co-host his show for an hour. Dean messaged me privately and was like, I want to get you exposure. I want to let's boost you. So Dean is on Team Oscar. Yay. W Dean, W Parker, W Santana, W all of them. Parker's also shouting me out. It's great. That's been the news in my personal life this week, is that I'm getting platformed by some of the big guys. David sent me $5 on Venmo to say Looksmax looks like a dumbass. Looksmax, do call in later. We can like, I see you in the queue again, but I heard the frustration in your harumph that came out of your mouth and the sound of your palm hitting the horn. And the horn. So no, I do not believe you're not driving. Call back another day, or like after. I don't know. I'll give you 25 minutes, and you need to prove to me that if you call back in, here, Looksmax. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You can stay in the queue if I click on you, and you can turn your camera on and show that you're not in a vehicle. If you can't do that, you need to leave the queue. I'll give you one call to figure that out. We're gonna see like E like the number E, which means it should be lowercase. But I think E like the number E is a friendly. But so here. Looksmax, you need to turn your camera on and show us that you're not driving, because I really want to.
Okay, I'm parked. Look, ready? I'm gonna open my door. Listen. I turned on my car.
Turn it off.
I turned it off, and I can beep while it's turned off, right?
Oh, did you hit the horn because you were parked and you were mad at me?
Yes, someone said hi to me from the outside.
Oh, well, silly thing to do. Sorry, dude. Again, here, court of public opinion, right? It's not a civil litigation. It's not a criminal trial. It's kicking you off my show for TikTok TOS, which is a court of public opinion matter, because that's private TOS. So I used a lower burden of proof to eject you from the show. Thank you for correcting it. But again, this is how reasonable people operate. I have a show to protect here. So yeah, I appreciate that I heard the car turn off. Thank you, Alana, for the $5. On YouTube Super Chat. She says, good morning, Oscar. Here's 500 cents. I appreciate you. Okay, so do you recognize that the burden is very low if we're trying to pick somebody for president? Do you understand that?
Yeah, so are you like with what you said, right? So are you telling me that Donald Trump is a rapist according to the like the burden of proof of a civil litigation of just
Yeah, public I'm saying that the burden of proof is higher in a civil court than in the court of public opinion.
Yes.
So it's reasonable in the court of public opinion, where we talk on this show and vote and stuff like that, to say that yeah, he's almost certainly a rapist. We shouldn't vote for him. We shouldn't support him as president. We got to get him out of office. There's a rapist running the country. The Supreme Court agrees.
The Supreme Court just didn't take the case. That's all.
Yes, because they know it's a bullshit appeal. You recognize that that's worse than them taking it and deciding against it. They decided not to look at it.
No. The Supreme Court didn't
I want to understand very specifically. Okay, go ahead. Say what you were just going to say.
Yeah. So the Supreme Court doesn't take every case because you want to just appeal it, right? There's appellate courts. If an appellate court doesn't agree with the ruling, they're gonna, overrule the ruling. But if they do not,
he appealed it all the way to the top, and this is the last step. You were just wishy-washily making up some bullshit about how this was for some reason in favor. No, this is ridiculous. It would have been more in favor of his innocence if they took the case and then made a decision on it, even if that decision was to reject the appeal. But they didn't look at it because it's bullshit. It's the same thing that happened when he sued E. Jean Carroll for calling him a rapist, and it was thrown out by a judge who said, no, I'm not even going to look at this. You're obviously a rapist. Why are you defending a person who even the Supreme Court says is a rapist?
No, they didn't say he was a rapist. It says that the case was, more likely than not that he did.
And numerous judges have ruled that it is appropriate. Numerous judges have ruled it is an appropriate thing to say. The words that was used in one particular ruling is that it is substantially true that Donald Trump is a rapist, and the Supreme Court agrees with that ruling. So yes, and that's what they're saying. You're ignoring what the courts say here.
Not. What's the evidence? The victim speaking on the testimony.
No. You're moving.
Yes.
I dropped her. You're moving on to other things. I just asked you a very direct thing.
Not beyond reasonable
I just
doubt.
asked you a very direct thing about rejecting what judges say, and then you pivoted on to talk about the details of the case. It's gish galloping, and it's not allowed on my show, sir.
I just told you that it's more like, what are you talking about, my guy? It's more likely than not. That's the burden of proof. Do you agree with me?
That it's more likely than not that Donald Trump is a rapist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, does that mean he is? Because if he
that
was,
means you shouldn't support him as president. That's the
that
argument.
doesn't mean that no, that doesn't, absolutely not. Because if it's
you
more
are
likely
willing
than
to
not,
support somebody for say the whole thing together. I'm willing to support somebody for
if
president.
they're not convicted.
Listen. You're not going to get out of this. I'm going to make you say the words because it's in alignment with what you just said. I want you to say the words. I am okay with supporting a president who is more likely than not to be a rapist.
I am okay with supporting a president that the court decided that he was more likely than not.
No. Scout thinks I'm mad. I am kind of mad.
I can't say those things.
I'm not going to let you weasel in your asterisk that makes you feel okay with your own
people
position. You
saying.
have to say the words or I'm going to kick you. I support a president who I think is more likely than not to be a rapist.
Can I say that in a civil court?
No, because you just said words that add up to what I just said. So if you want to fall back and you can't say it out loud, then we have to go back to arguing that.
More likely than not can mean a lot of things. More likely than not, that's a personal opinion.
No, it doesn't. That's bullshit. No, it's made up. It means more than 50%. You're the one who offered that measure yourself. I jumped on it because you finally admitted that he's more likely than not to be a rapist. So I need you to say the words, I am willing to support a president who is more likely than not.
I am willing to support a president that is, more likely than not in a civil court committing.
Nope, because the whole point, the reason we're saying more likely than not is because it was a civil court. So when you when you sprinkle that little bit of doubt by adding that in, that is not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to be consistent in what you have said on my show. Say the words, I support a president.
Because I've always mentioned
say the words, I support a president who is more likely than not to be a rapist. Say the words.
Okay, but is there an issue with me saying civil court? Is there an issue?
Yes, I just explained what it is because we had a conversation about civil courts over the course of the last few minutes, and you said that because it was a civil court, we can conclude that he is more than 50% likely to be a rapist.
That's the burden of proof. I'm not saying that's the
burden of proof. So because that's the burden of the proof, we can leave behind the part. Listen to me. We can leave behind the part where the civil court is how we got to more. Listen, you're not listening. You need to stop talking. You need to listen to my words. Here, I'll slow down. We can bring the temperature down if you're willing to cooperate. I'm going to explain it very clearly. We use the civil court to get to the conclusion that because of the burden of proof in a civil court, he is more than likely than not to be a rapist. That is a conclusion on its own. We can leave behind the civil court. You are sprinkling civil court in there because you know to people listening it sows doubt. But we are getting from one conclusion to another because that is what we do in reasonable conversation. So because we used the information about the Supreme Court ruling, or the Supreme Court ruling and the civil case ruling to determine that it is more than 50% likely that he's a rapist. You admitted yourself that a moment ago on my show. I just want you to put the two things together and say, I support a president who I think is more likely than not to be a rapist. And if you are unwilling to say those words, we have to rewind to a few minutes ago and start the fuck over because you're ignoring what you yourself just said a moment ago. I will remind you the spiel. I will remind you the spiel, and if you're unwilling to say it, we have to start the conversation over. The spiel is, I am willing to support a president who is more than likely a rapist.
Relax.
I'm not relaxed. He's the president's a rapist and you're defending him. It's a good thing to crash out about. Fuck you.
Classes, and this is how you dominate every, debate. But
are you going to say the words or are we going to rewind?
Why do you want me to say these things that will be taken out of context? I want to ask you that.
The context is this conversation, and this show gets posted in its entirety to YouTube every single day. The context will be there.
People can get clips? Oh, you don't think I'm a Gen Z? You don't think people can clip things out of context? People clip me all the fucking time, so I post the evidence. You're not going to get away from it. You're either going to say those words or we're going to start over and talk about it again. I will. Can I say what the courts ruled? Can I say I will support a president that was proven more likely than not in a civil court to be a... Why not? Is there an issue with that?
I already answered that question. I'm unwilling to answer it again. I will prompt you one more time. The spiel is I support a president who's more likely than not to be a rapist.
Oh, because you wanted to make it sound worse than what the civil court
yourself. I didn't even say it. You concluded yourself based on our conversations about the burden of proof that he is more likely than not, that's the words you used, that he's a rapist.
The burden of proof. Yes, that's what I used. The court, the ruling of the court, that's what I said. I will support the president.
So because you accept those words, say them and don't drag along this little precious asterisk that makes you feel better about supporting rapists. And just stand on your own fucking business, because you're the one who told me yourself that you recognize that he is more likely than not to be a rapist. So say the words out loud for the whole class that you support a president who is more likely than not to be a rapist.
Okay, more likely than not. Then more likely than not. Where can you say civil court? Can I say civil court?
We've been through this. No, I'm not going to let you get the benefit of the amnesia of a live stream where there's turnover and there's people coming and going and not everybody hears the entire conversation.
And people
Audience, true or false? Right? Audience, true or false? Shut up. I'm talking to the chat. Audience, true or false? Did the caller admit that Trump is more than likely a rapist? More likely than not a rapist?
More than likely, in a civil court, a rapist. That's what the courts ruled. I know that you know that we were talking about a civil court, because if I said in a criminal court, I would have said more than, like, what, beyond reasonable doubt. I never said those words.
The chat doesn't have amnesia. They remember you saying it. They remember you saying that because it was a civil litigation, we can say, true, here, let's slow it down. True or false, it's more than 50% likely that Trump is a rapist.
True or false? According to the court, yes.
No, according to you, right now.
Yes, because that's where I get my information from, the court ruling, yes.
So you agree that it is more than 50% likely that Trump is a rapist?
I agree that there is a chance of more than 50% of, him being a rapist. Yes, I do agree.
You can say rapist on my show. So let's put it together. You're going to say the words, I support a president who I think there's a greater than 50% chance of him being a rapist.
What would you say greater than 50% chance?
Because that's what you just said 10 fucking seconds ago, dude.
Why don't you want me to say it in a civil court?
Stand by your own beliefs. What the fuck is this?
Does it make it worse if I say civil court? Why don't you like civil court? You don't like this word?
It protects your precious feelings to say civil court because people doubt the rulings of civil court, but you and I just reasoned through it together. And fucking 30 seconds ago, you said it. Yes, he's more than 50% likely to be a rapist. So say the words,
that's an opinion,
I support the president. It's your opinion, you fucking idiot.
I'm saying
what
facts.
the fuck?
I'm saying facts. I'm saying that it's more than 50% of him being a rapist according to a civil court.
You just can't do it. You just can't put the... You don't want the soundbite to exist of you defending your own beliefs.
It makes it sound worse. I'm saying that there is a greater than 50%
it sounds fucking terrible to say that you support a president even though you recognize there's more than a 50% chance that he's a rapist.
In a civil court.
You keep saying in a civil court, but the reason that you think the odds are more than 50% is because of the civil court, so we can fucking leave that behind because you admit that it's more than 50%. I'm happy with that. That's enough for me.
People...
I think it's more than 50%. I think it's like 99%. I think it's like 99.9%.
Do you agree with me that people clip things out of context?
Dude, I talk to the internet for 2 hours a day for a living. Yes, I'm aware that people take things out of context.
Do you agree with me saying that it can like literally change my life forever, or it can like literally hurt me in the future?
We're going to play the game, Looks Max. Let's see that pretty mug. Camera time. Stand on your beliefs.
I don't have to. You don't have to believe me if you don't want.
Camera on, or you go. I've got other people in the queue.
Off me, bro. Kick me. I don't care. I support
Camera
the president.
on or run. You're not going to stand by what you believe. You don't want the world to know that you support the rapist president.
No. People know me.
Your username is LooksMax. I bet we're gonna be blinded by your handsomeness, and we're not even gonna be able to see what you look like.
But I'm not gonna say those words, which are damaging. If you don't say
your
things,
your own beliefs are damaging, and you recognize it. That's what's going on. Camera on or go.
If you put things in context, they're not damaging.
Camera on or go.
Leave me, bro. Kick me.
I'm not going to kick you. You're either going to run or you're going to turn your camera on. I don't mind spending a half hour of the show demanding you turn your camera on.
I'm chilling. No, you don't have. I'm not legally, or I'm not required to turn my camera on. You can kick me. I don't know how to kick myself.
You're not. But you make.
I don't know how to kick myself.
Nobody respects what you think about this if you're not willing to associate it with your face.
If
you're saying that you are supporting a president who you yourself recognize is more than 50% likely to be a rapist. I want that to be an opinion that's associated with a face. Yes, it's not in a civil court. It's because of a civil court that you think that. You've admitted it several times. Stop falling back on that. We've already been through it. You're unwilling to say what you believe in one full sentence. You have to separate it by two sentences so the soundbite doesn't exist. That's dishonest. I don't give a shit. That's why I'm making you turn your camera on. Camera on or leave. Those are your options.
I don't know how to leave.
That's hilarious. Camera on.
I don't know how to leave, bro.
All right, answer me this. Why won't you turn on your camera?
Why wouldn't I turn on my camera? Because it's hella hot here in Florida. I don't want to. Like, what the fuck?
Do you need me to mess up? Do you need me to mess up my hair so you feel better? Don't want to get mogged on stream?
Listen,
Turn your fucking camera on.
You're the one that supports LGBTQIA plus. I don't support.
Don't fucking pivot, dude. I don't care. You support a rapist. Turn your camera on.
I support a president that is more than likely 50% chance of being a rapist in a civil court. Damn.
No, it's not. It's 100% likely that he's guilty of being a rapist in a civil court because that's what the fucking ruling is, and the Supreme Court just threw out the final appeal. If you want to add civil court, it's not 50%, it's 100%. It's because it was a civil court that you got to 50%. That's your opinion, not the Supreme Court's, not the civil court's, not the jury's, not mine. It is your opinion that it's 50%.
So because
how do you not understand that?
Just because the Supreme Court didn't take this case, that means that he's 100% liable. That's what
can we get some camera emojis in the chat?
Are you 100% sure?
Today. Got pissy Oscar. No surprise we get pissy Oscar on E.G. and Carrol.
Listen, man, I'm gonna go to West Palm Beach today.
You're gonna run.
Take me.
You're gonna run.
I gotta go play on the golf
You're gonna
course.
run. He's gonna run. He's gonna run just like women do when I'm coming. Donald Trump's coming. Run, ladies, because I'm probably a rapist, according to Looksmax, who's afraid to turn on his camera to talk to the guy who has bad teeth. Dude, come on.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. You're supporting a rapist. It's not okay. Like, I'm crashing out because it breaks my fucking heart that people like you exist.
Crime. Rapist, that's a crime. You have to prove that beyond
no, we've been through this.
doubt.
The judge ruled that it is substantially true that Donald Trump is a rapist, and I cannot be sued for defamation for saying it.
Substantially doesn't mean guilty.
Unbelievable.
Substantially doesn't mean guilty. What the fuck are you talking about?
While I'm waiting for you to turn your camera on, I am going to go through and read some fucking super chats and shit. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, bro. This is like a comedy show. You're like Parker, Dean, all those people that think they're fans for like 20 hours.
My audience knows I have some pretty serious conversations on here. Yeah. We are allowed to have meaningful conversations if you aren't a spineless goober like yourself. Just a reminder that if they support a criminal, they would likely commit the same crime. Zeppy, thank you, Zeppy, for the $5 on.
Yeah, if I support a criminal,
I'm not done reading the donation. Shut up and turn your camera on.
All right, then. Have a good day.
Snake sent me no, you have to figure out how to run. You have to find a little cute little run button.
How do I?
Snake sent me $5 to say Looksmax has no spine. He can't admit that the president supports the president he supports a man who he thinks is more likely than not a rapist. Yeah, he said it enough times. I mean, it's pretty fucking clear.
It doesn't damage my life. Doesn't damage my life.
Well, if you turn your camera on, and you know that, which is why I'm insisting that you turn your camera on. That might damage.
It doesn't damage my life.
You know that your beliefs are reprehensible, and you don't want them to be associated with you. And you made the foolish decision of saying where you are. Don't fucking dox yourself, dude. Just show your face so that it exists.
No, listen.
Put it out on the internet.
Vitamin C, dude. Listen, it's important. Get vitamin C, okay? That Blu-ray, it's gonna damage you. Seriously. Look, I'm outside. I'm about to go play football. Vitamin C,
dude,
vitamin D.
I have a sunburn. Do you want to see my sunburn? I have a sunburn on my shoulders. Is it showing up?
No, I'm good. Listen, though, I don't know how to leave. The mod is going to kick me, though. I already messaged them. I'm good.
I don't know, man. I think the mods support me demanding that you turn on your camera. Emily says he can't turn on his camera because we'd all find out he's not looksmaxing. Yeah, I think we've got two pieces of bullshit to call here. His position on E.G. and Carrol and his username being looksmax because he's afraid of talking to me. And if he's a 21-year-old looksmaxer, however old he said he was, he should looksmog the shit out of my old ass because my ass about to turn 31 and I don't give half a fuck about looksmaxing. I give a fuck about protecting women and children through my political perspectives and commentary. He's gone. He ran. That was fun. No, it wasn't. That was fucking devastating. Weston sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, sounds like he's not looksmaxing. Yeah. It seems that way to me. Jack sent me $1 on Venmo to say, if I hear one more caller say you talk too much, I'm going to lose it. Politics can't be summed up in 1 or 2 word sentences and requires a dialogue. Don't call in if you don't have the attention span, if you have the attention span of a goldfish. Fucking absolutely. Like, people are like, define gender, and then I get 4 words out and they're like, word salad, and it's like, dude, it's a fucking complicated sociological term. Like, what the fuck do you want? Are you gonna go to a fucking sociology class and snap at the professor for talking for more than 8 fucking seconds when they define an important word that's going to be on the test? No, you fail the class. I don't give out grades on the show. I just give out opinions. And, like I said, court of public opinion. I think we all have our opinions about looksmax. Art by Al sent me $5 on Venmo to say, I don't even know why I went to law school now with all these chuds or legal scholars. That's the fucking thing. They don't have any respect for the fact that, like, You can't just make up a bunch of bullshit in these arguments. You can't just pretend how it works. For fuck's sake. David, W's in the chat for David. W's in the chat for David, because fucking David has been sending all sorts of donations over the last few days. He says, can't even live up to his own username, won't show his face. Yeah, fucking embarrassing. I find that to be very, very funny. I'm also sad. I mean, trying to brag to me about going to Palm Beach. As though I'd rather be in Florida than Minnesota. Learn something about HDI, buddy. We're going to talk to Velli999. VELLI999. What's Law of the Wild saying in the chat? What did I miss? Law of the Wild says, I wasted so much money on law school when I could have just created a TikTok account. Yeah. I'm sorry, Law of the Wild. I'm trying to get them to respect your authority. W's in the chat for Law of the Wild for keeping me in check on the legal matters. Nope, caller's gone. Chat's empty. Queue's empty. Hello, everybody. How we doing? Let's open the live chat on YouTube. I gotta remember to keep that open. Oh my God. What? Raven wants to say something. Raven's gonna tell me how do you think I'm doing on E. Jean Carroll Day?
Pretty good. I was just hoping to offer a friendly approach. So clearly the Chuds don't know the facts of the case, and we're never ever going to convince them that the facts are real. So my thought was take the approach of it was the burden of proof, because that's what they love to use. The burden of proof was on Trump's attorneys to prove to the Supreme Court that the evidence was shaky enough to worth hearing again. And so since the Supreme Court determined that the proof was solid enough and had no reason to question it, that is an affirmation that the evidence is real and there.
Yeah, we can also talk about all the other things that Trump has failed to prove in court. There's a long list, isn't there?
Right, but I guess that's the end all be all of it proves that the evidence is present and valid, and the Supreme Court sees it as solid.
Yeah, we can try that.
Yeah, but that's all I had. Just wanted to offer that. Love you, chat. Y'all wonderful.
W's in the chat for Raven. I'm gonna see what Jay wants to say quick. I do want to keep the line clear to get a caller, but Jay's one of the team members over on the Discord, so I figure I'll see what they want to talk about. What's up, Jay?
What's up, guys? I just want to bring up two things. Number one, we got the Discord open. Everyone, get in the Discord, please. Get in the Discord.
Link in the bio. It's in there.
Hey, link in the bio. Let's go. Number two.
W's in the chat for Jay. Jay is in charge of managing the Discord. It's not my responsibility.
Oh no, it's all easy. You do all the hard work.
Busy. Well,
he does all the hard work.
You do all the hard work on the Discord, though.
All right. Yeah, but he's the one that are defending us from these chuds. Number two, I've been hearing, I think that's the second time someone mentioned Mog. I'm going to be in the recruit next time someone just talks about Mog. Just bring me up. I'll turn on my camera. We'll have a Mog competition. We'll divert to a Mog competition, because I will Mog the hell out of them, whatever that means. Smacks, whatever it means.
Yeah. W's in the chat for Jay. You got anything else?
Nah, that's all. Hey, make sure to follow that Discord. Come on, guys. I'll prove you guys right now. Just follow that Discord. Anyways, I love you guys all. You can drop me for the algorithm.
Later, Jay. Yeah, let's get a pile of tickets for the mods to deal with on there. Lucky Phil just supported me on Buy Me a Coffee. He said, I'd love for Jane Doe number 4 to be discussed on stream more often. And then he says a 3-word sentence that I can't say on TikTok. It's a sentence I say often when I have to reset the stream on TikTok. I'll say it to the YouTube chat as a joke. Like, oh, I'm not online at TikTok right now. I get to say this. It's something about Trump doing something to kids. But there's a bad word. There's an F word in there. The thing he does to the kids. It's an F word. He is in the swamp, and he is protecting his billionaire elite pedophile buddies. I agree completely, Lucky Phil. But TikTok censorship does not allow me to speak candidly about the accusations against Trump involving children. I've tried. It's been the result of almost every ban I've gotten on this account. It's been the result of almost every flag I've gotten other than harassment and bullying, which is a pretty slap on the wrist flag just for calling somebody an asshole or something. Because, yeah, there's a fucking mountain of evidence there, and I would love to spend more time talking about Jane Doe number 4 and some of these other accusations, but I've found that it is a danger to my platform to be as outspoken about some of those things as I am about things like E. Jean Carroll, which I somehow managed to get away with. I figured out that I can say pretty confidently on TikTok, Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll. Doesn't matter how aggressively I make that R. He raped her. I can say that, but for some reason, if I speak so candidly about what he's done probably to children, even with my own accepted asterisk of there being less available proof to the public because of him hiding the Epstein files, it's a problem, which is why people should go follow me on YouTube, because I'm doing more stuff over there. We're talking with the mod team all the time about expanding the streams. That's why we're doing the 7 p.m. Central Time Sunday evening show with like friendlies or political candidates and stuff coming on. We can talk candidly about that stuff over there, but we just can't on TikTok. So TikTok. No, sorry. We love the TikTok shop. We love the TikTok shop. Love it. Wouldn't dream of saying anything negative about so holy a shop as the TikTok shop. Oh, somebody sent me a couple bucks. Araxis sent me $2 on Cash App to say the only true Mog is a Moogle from Final Fantasy. I'm not familiar. Been a long time since I've played a Final Fantasy game. Tim Davidson said for $5 on YouTube Super Chat, Trump didn't drain the swamp. He brought the swamp to the reflecting pool. Burn. We're going to talk to Scott Rogers, and we're going to see how he feels about the SCOTUS decision today. I think I'm going to stick on it. I think today's the E. Jean Carroll day. I want to talk about it. Shit. He put poop on the screen. Sorry, TikTok shop. Whoever I just accidentally kicked from the queue is because I was trying to get rid of that guy. So you can hop back in. My bad. That's new. That's going to be a problem. Why can they turn their camera on without me giving them permission? Come on, TikTok, fix that for fuck's sake. That's all they've got, right? That's all they've got. They know I'm right about E. Jean Carroll. They know I'm right about the Epstein files. So all they have are attempts to get my account taken down so the show ends. What the fuck? Blah. Anyway, that's the queue empty. Seriously, there was somebody else in the queue. Monk, I know you're friendly, so I'll keep the line open because it's only 11 and I want to make it through with another half hour of arguing about E. Jean Carroll if I can. But if it was somebody other than Monk that I kicked, just hop back in because I just clicked you by accident while I was trying to get rid of the guy who put poop on the screen. Poop on my TikTok live, shit smeared on the walls of the Capitol on January 6th, birds of a feather, right? Like these are traitors. These are people who don't believe in democracy. These are people who don't believe in free speech. They see me speaking freely about this stuff. They say, can't have that. I need to go make sure that I so egregiously violate the TikTok terms of service as a guest on his show that he gets deplatformed because I'm afraid of Oskar talking to the public. I am afraid of what will happen if Oskar isn't silenced. That's why I get death threats. I don't think that most of those people want to come and unalive me. I think that those people want me to be afraid of being unalived so I stop hosting my show. There have been times where it has felt difficult to make that decision. These days, not so much. I'm over the hump. I'm in this. But when I was new and it's like, oh man, this is a lot of death threats I'm getting just for fucking having 30 viewers. I don't know. I talk about it with the other hosts. I think I get a lot more death threats than is normal, than is average. And I consider that a compliment. I think it means in terms of what I'm trying to accomplish, I'm doing something right, and that's why they're working so very hard to deplatform me. But I'm trying to stay safe, people. And I'm trying to be able to afford to move when I need to, because that's going to happen when I get doxxed eventually. So, linktree in the bio. Paige says it's a sign that I'm winning the debates. Yeah. That's really what's going on. Law of the Wild's up. We'll see what he wants to say. How you doing, Law?
Doing good. Wanted to talk a little bit about the E. Jean Carroll appeal that was just rejected today.
Yeah, let's hear your thoughts. Your thoughts are going to be way better than mine. I bow down to the Law of the Wild's thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, that's quite all right.
More qualified to talk about this than I am.
Oh, you're doing just fine. You didn't need any help. But something that's worth noting is you only need to convince 4 justices to get a cert appeal granted. So a lot of people say that SCOTUS is in the tank for Trump. I don't full on agree with that, but I understand why people might come to that conclusion. But the fact of the matter remains that he couldn't get 4 of the justices, including 3 of them that he appointed, to agree to it. So you've got kind of 2 defaults with Alito and Thomas, who seem to rubber stamp anything Trump does. But then he couldn't get even 2 out of the 3 that he appointed to go along with it. But there's a couple of things. So when SCOTUS rejects an appeal, they're basically saying saying the lower court got it right. And what Trump had done in this is he challenged the admission of the Access Hollywood tapes, which Trump is saying essentially, I can grab women by the pussy and they just let you do it. And oddly enough, that's exactly what he was accused of doing with Eugene Carroll.
I say on the show all the time that there's audio of Trump saying that he likes doing exactly what Eugene Carroll accused him of doing. So that's a detail I didn't know. That's specifically what he was appealing, the admission of that.
So there were three things he was appealing. One was that Access Hollywood tape. The second is the court allowing other alleged victims of his to testify. They said that was improper, and the Second Circuit rejected that, as did SCOTUS. And the other was the definition of sexual assault that was used by the court didn't constitute an actual crime of SA. So he appealed on all three grounds. All three grounds lost at both the Second Circuit and the Supreme Court. And when the Supreme Court again doesn't take up, when four of the justices, 4 of the 9 can't agree that any of these were a big enough issue, they're saying that the lower court got it right.
Yeah. I mean, and I find that remarkable too, that detail about the fact that they're going after the definition of sexual assault, because this is classic current right of the aisle American politics right now. It's like, oh, okay, hold on, we've got him dead to rights on him doing it, so let's just change the definition of the thing that it is so that people can't say it anymore.
Well, more narrowly, they were going after the other witnesses, because there were 2 witnesses that testified about Trump's prior conduct that constituted it. And he wasn't arguing that the definition of SA as applied to Eugene Carroll wasn't right. He was saying the things I did to those women weren't SA, and so the court shouldn't have considered it. But under 413, under 413. Ignore.
Is that the law of the wild bat phone? Are the people in trouble?
Yeah.
Do you need to go defend somebody?
Ironically, yes, but this is a client that calls me 6 times a day from jail. So it's, and I have nothing new for him. So I'll call him later and remind him I have nothing new for him. So he was arguing that this other conduct that he had with these other women that testified weren't actually SA, but under 413 that doesn't matter, because you're looking for propensity evidence. So whether or not somebody has a propensity to engage in the conduct for which they're alleged in, and it doesn't have to be a dead ringer.
That's like if I robbed a convenience store or like robbed a bank or something, and that's like grand larceny or some higher level charge. Me shoplifting a whole bunch, having a history of shoplifting, like that's a lesser crime. It's not the same crime, but it's down the same alley, right? This is somebody who steals, is what the court is arguing. Am I right? Is that a good analogy for what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Or let's say that you've been accused of, and there's testimony, people willing to testify and be subject to cross-examine, that you've drawn a knife on them a lot of times, and then you're accused of drawing a firearm on somebody. You can't say, well, hey, that's not a firearm that I drew that time, or on those times. So you shouldn't allow that testimony. So the court at both the Second Circuit, well, I guess 3 times. First, there was Judge Kaplan in the trial court. Then the Second Circuit said, nope, Kaplan got it right. And now the Supreme Court is saying Kaplan got it right.
Mm-hmm. Well, it gets to a particular phenomenon that I refer to often on my show as playing spot the difference when you should be playing spot the similarity. It's like when people say that, ICE aren't behaving like the Gestapo. It's like, well, okay, they don't, the Gestapo didn't have smartphones. You're correct. Like we can spot differences here, but there's particular things that line up in a way that's very, very concerning to any reasonable person. And the Trump administration, Trump always wants to appeal these things to death and just, go down every avenue attacking the definitions of these things, when even if they win those definitional cases, any reasonable person can still look at the facts of what was actually done and draw the same conclusion about what you're saying, somebody's propensity to commit these sorts of crimes. In the case of Donald Trump, sex crimes. Because they're clouding the public discourse with all of these different appeals and all these different approaches to it. But like so many of those arguments aren't even arguments that are saying he didn't do the thing. They're just saying that he did do the thing, but maybe we should talk about it a little bit differently, which is ridiculous and heartbreaking. It's going to be probably,
it's saying that
given these rulings, it's probably going to be an interesting week for you, Law, right? Just TikTok.
Yeah, definitely. We got the mail-in ballot case out of Mississippi, which was a win for the people that Yeah. And then my favorite one, obviously working in criminal defense, was the Fourth Amendment geofence warrant case that just came down, saying that no, just because you happen to be close to an area that had a crime committed doesn't mean Google gets to turn over all of everybody's location data in that area over to the government and have you investigated. So that was a huge win.
That one I'm not as educated on, so I'm judging pretty much just from what you just said a second ago. But as a protester whose phone has pinged all sorts of towers near where the incidents that the federal government is upset about, that one sounds potentially relevant to me. Right?
Yeah, highly relevant. What happened in this case is there was a bank robbery, and then the government went and got a search warrant from Google looking for all of the devices that were within that area at the time of the robbery. And then they went and investigated each of the people that were, in that area at the time, and then found enough evidence to arrest somebody else. I was a little bit worried about this case. The Supreme Court can occasionally have a what I call the bad man stays in jail doctrine, where they kind of bend over backwards to justify the ends while ignoring the means. But in this case, they got it dead right that you can't cast a digital dragnet in hopes of catching the criminal. You have to have particularized suspicion about an individual before the government has access to that data.
Mm-hmm. That's yeah. Thank you for your insight, Law. I've thanked you a million times, but I love that you can give such clarity on these things. Where I did read a couple headlines about the geofencing thing, and I looked at it and I saw that it was to do with that sort of stuff. But I thought this looks like a bunch of partisan nonsense. I'm going to wait for Law the Wild to tell me what's up, because I trust you.
Always happy to do it. It's where my convergence of law nerd and teacher that Venn diagram becomes a full circle.
Well, always happy to have you on. I think I'm going to move on to another debate, though.
By all means. I was hoping your queue would fill up, so drop me for the algo. Hey, one second.
Yeah, what's up?
Everybody, if you see a red follow button next to Oscar's name, that means you're not following him, and there's something wrong with that. Oscar puts on these daily shows, does a fantastic job. I've suggested a shirt for him that says mute with kind of the circle and the cross through it, having the Oskar Quentin show on there, because that's what he does. He engages in conversations. He doesn't run away. He hits it head on. Well worth a follow. We also have 666 people in the room by my count. I don't know how many people are watching on the other places. But please drop that daily heart me that gets Oscar out on the For You page, and then tap the screen. Everybody fill up the bar 2 times. We should get him up to 250 pretty quickly. Get that little confetti pop twice, and he should be over 200, closer to 250. Again, that helps him get more debates in. But people are waiting. Oscar, drop me.
W. Law the Wild. Wonderful friend of the show. We're going to talk to Sara, not Sara 15. Sara with Sara. Sara, not Sara 15. Hello, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 18.
I'm going to believe you. You support Trump?
Yeah.
Even though the Supreme Court has finally rejected his final appeal on the Carrol case?
I can have other reasons in favor of why it is the case I support Trump.
Okay, so just to be clear, you support him even though he's almost certainly a rapist.
You can just measure utility. If I were say some sort of sophisticated utilitarian, okay, I can say,
Phil, bro, I weigh the utility of having a president who's not a rapist very highly over the utility of having a president who isn't a rapist. So even from a utilitarian perspective, I still consider it grievously important that the president is almost certainly a rapist.
Okay, so let's say that you necessarily had to vote between 2 presidents.
No,
one of them
I want you to answer. No, stop.
Okay.
Thank you, Emily, for the galaxy. I appreciate you. But I do want you to answer specifically. If we're going to talk from a utilitarian perspective, which is what you started with, I'm not going to let you weasel your way out of it because you're probably a little spooked that I'm willing to engage with your Philbro terms. But you do recognize that there's great utility, particularly to women, if the president isn't a rapist over a situation where he is, right?
Yeah, I can say that.
Okay, just to be clear, that amount of utility, I would say, is enormous due to half the country being women, right?
I don't think that every single woman was graped by Trump.
That's not what I said. I said that the amount of utility that we have in having.
Yeah, I understand. I got your question.
No, but then I asked it. No, but you understood that there is utility, and I wanted to clarify that the amount of utility is enormous. Yes or no?
Yeah, I can agree that there's going to be many women out there who are going to be against a president that they knew raped a woman.
No, you're agreeing to something other than what I asked, because we got you to agree that there's utility in the president not being a rapist. I'm asking for you to recognize that amount of utility is large.
Sure, but I think that there's like other reasons to satisfy why it is the case. Like,
Right.
if we just
So
look
you
at
can,
it, for example,
you can
on a
look
num-
at other things that he's done and say that that utility adds up to more than the utility that we get by him not being a rapist. That might be your argument, but I don't want to let you skate away from it because you said, yeah, but like, just to be perfectly clear, there's enormous utility in the president not being a rapist over compared to a situation where the president is a rapist.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, you can say there's enormous utility insofar as if we look at the cardinality of the number of people who are dissatisfied.
You're retreating into Filbro land to get away from the question. You recognize that there's...
You know what a cardinality is?
No, I don't. But it's not a clear answer to my question. I don't know what that word means.
You taught set theory though. Didn't you teach set theory?
Yeah, like 10 years ago. Forgive me if I need to Google that particular term, but you're playing the Gish Gallop game of coming up with a vocab term that I don't remember from 10 years ago.
Well, can I just give you reasons for why I
really quick,
Trump?
Nope. I'm actually just going to ask a very specific question. Do I need to know the definition of the word cardinality to answer the question, true or false, the amount of utility found?
Absolutely. Almost definitely. Yes. Cardinality.
Let's Google it. Let's figure it out, and then we'll go back to my question.
And then when you search up what it means, I can tell you how it pertains to...
Oh, when I look up the definition, you're going to tell me why that definition is bullshit and why I should listen to you instead of Merriam-Webster?
Why it pertains to what I'm speaking of.
Okay.
So that definition is going to be true. It's going to say the number of elements that are found within a given set, the size of a set, or the length of a set.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so that could just be used to say the sample size. So if we set the sample size of the number of people who are dissatisfied by Trump being a rapist, it can still be bad. But if we're talking about how they feel about it. For example, someone might feel
so
a
you
certain
did
way
exactly
about
what I said. You're going to get
losing
down some
$1 million as opposed to like knowing that the president is a rapist.
I don't think that we needed to use the word cardinality to assess that there's a tremendous utility, to use one of Donald Trump's favorite words. There's tremendous utility in the president not being a rapist over being a rapist. And I will recognize cardinality by saying that that's obvious given the fact that people who are most likely to be victims of rapes are women and half the country's women, which makes the cardinality the number of elements in the set, if we're going to consider the set of things that contribute to the utility that Donald Trump has as president, is large because there is one case that adds to that number of elements in the set for every woman in the country.
Yeah, sure thing, pal. But I think that the amount of dissatisfaction...
I'm sorry. Did I fail to engage with your Filbro nonsense? I think what I said was right.
So you did somewhat fail because you're looking at the number of people and saying that,
I thought we had to look at the cardinality.
No, obviously, I understand that.
Cardinality is the number of elements in a given set. I did the thing you
100%.
asked me to.
Yep. Exactly, that's correct. But we're also talking about the actual, dissatisfaction that they have with Trump being a rapist. People will typically feel more.
Are you suggesting that women are not dissatisfied by rapists?
Of course they are, but not like, for example, if the women knew that everyone's going to get $1 million if Trump was elected, even though they knew Trump was a rapist, I'm pretty sure all women are going to vote for Trump knowing that they're going to get $1 million as a result.
Points so we can decide if we have enough rape points to measure the cardinality of utilitarian, whatever the fuck you're saying. Like, no, fuck, dude. Like, this is fucking absolutely fucking insane. You're trying to do math problems about how badly women are bothered by the president being a rapist? You are an awful person.
No, that's actually not what I said. But
awful person.
Now that
I'm saying that you are an awful person. You've demonstrated yourself to be an awful person on my show.
Now that we're past that little derail,
I'm not. We're going to stay right on it. I think you're a reprehensibly monstrous person for not recognizing it as completely obvious.
No, I already said it's wrong. I already said that Trump is wrong for raping people.
So let's just go back to my question at the beginning. Is it obvious to you that the utility of the president not being a rapist compared to a situation where the president is a rapist, all else held equal, is enormous?
Not just women, but men as well. I think people are very dissatisfied.
I didn't say anything about men or women. I asked yes or no. Is that utility enormous?
By cardinality. But if we're talking about the amount of dissatisfaction, then it's small.
No. What the fuck? You're saying that the amount of measured dissatisfaction, evidence, source, show me that the amount of dissatisfaction there is about Donald Trump being a rapist is so small that it's inconsequential in this argument. And you're gonna slip and slide whack-a-mole your way over to some other term that we're gonna have to explain to the audience.
You don't know what ordinal means?
Ordinal, no. Off the top of my head in this context, no. It's not clear what the meaning of that word is. So we're gonna do another round of this bullshit. No, I'm not gonna allow it, dude. This is nonsense. I looked up the definition of cardinality. It applied perfectly to my argument. I explained explain that to you, and you're sitting here suggesting that the degree to which women are bothered by the president being a rapist is small, which I think is fucking nonsense, and you know it. You fucking know it, and people don't have to learn all these nonsensical terms to have a fucking heart and behave reasonably in the voting booth. Don't pretend that they fucking do. It's nonsense, and you know it. It's disingenuous.
Okay,
convince me otherwise. Before you get onto your Gish Gallop bullshit, you have to convince me that you actually believe that your Gish Gallop bullshit is important, because I simply don't fucking believe you. I think you understand every single word of what I'm saying, and you know you're trying to get away from it by bringing up all these terms that are going to confuse people, when we could use completely everyday terminology to talk about this, which is my problem with the Phil Bros, because I was the fucking president of the philosophy club at my college, and all of them did the same fucking thing, where they found some narrow definition of a complicated word that they could apply to this particular context in this one-of-a-kind way that makes their argument right, and they have to explain that every fucking time they talk about it. And what you're doing is fucking dishonest, because you and I both speak English perfectly fucking well, and you know it. Speak fucking English, my guy.
Yes. So suppose we said 100 people have one cookie. Now, each of them have one cookie, and there's 100 cookies total. But now there could be one person who has 200 cookies. Now, the number of cookies total by this one person is larger than the number of cookies by the 100 people combined. But if we're talking about the cardinality insofar as we're talking about the number of individuals who have cookies, obviously there's going to be the 100 people that each have a cookie would satisfy the power for having a cookie.
I promise you I'm capable of tracking a hypothetical, but I'm not tracking yours. Start over. Try again.
Yeah.
By the way, I will point out that you ignored everything I just said, didn't respond to any of it, and moved on to your hypothetical, but I'm just going to let that happen as a fucking mic drop, because I know you don't have anything to respond to what I just said, so try again with your fucking cookies, dude. I'll get my crayons out in case I need to keep track of your fucking number of cookies that everybody gets in your bullshit-ass example that you're using.
So initially, you said that...
Show. 50 cookies.
I initially said that we're measuring by utility, that obviously Trump being agreeable.
You said them too quickly, so I couldn't follow the numbers. I got my crayons out. I'm going to fucking follow your analogy.
First, I'm explaining what you said, and then I'm explaining like where the utility comes in, right? So at first you said, oh, well, Trump being a rapist is going to, be very anti-utilitarian or whatever, because many people are dissatisfied. The number of people are going to be that are dissatisfied from Trump being a rapist is very large, right? But I'm saying that, they can have some sort of dissatisfaction to that. Let's say all...
Crayons!
Or whatever.
Your example. You gave me a fucking example about cookies, and I told you that you said it too quickly, and I didn't understand. And I got my crayons out to write the numbers down so I can understand you, and now you're talking about something the fuck else, because talking to you is like trying to stab a fucking ball bearing with a butter knife. Every time I poke the damn thing, it pings the fuck over there. Tell me about the fucking cookies, or get off my show.
I got you, bro. Yeah, I got you, bro.
Rapists make me angry. I'm sorry.
Suppose that we have 100 people who each have one cookie, right?
Okay, wait, hold on. 100 people.
Each have one cookie.
One cookie each.
So now the total number of cookies that are shared between the 100 people is 100 cookies. But there's 100 people who satisfy the predicate of having a cookie.
Yeah, I'm following. Everybody's got a cookie. There's 100
Now,
of them.
one person, just one person, can have 200 cookies.
I thought there were only 100 cookies.
No. This is a completely different person.
Okay.
A different person.
Different person. 200 cookies, one person. Yeah. Are we going to talk about taxing the wealthy? What the fuck is this? Yeah.
No. He has 200
taxes cookies. But beside from that, one person has 200.
I think this is analogous, because we're saying that, all right, well, one person and here has 200 cookies, where in this case you're saying, oh, there's so many people. Let's say all 400 million people are dissatisfied by Trump being a rapist.
Hold on.
I think the amount of dissatisfaction is so low.
Slow down. I don't understand. I'm trying to understand you. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm not trying to defeat this yet. I don't even understand it yet. You told me that we have a case where there's 100 people each have a cookie. That sounds kind of nice. What a nice day that sounds like. Then you told me about this one guy who has 200 cookies. I thought, okay, well, that doesn't seem reasonable because everybody had one. And then you said, no, that's a completely different example. So I drew a big line with my crayon to separate the two. This guy has 200 cookies. How did we get from there to utilitarianism and Trump?
Yeah, so in one case, right, you have the cardinality of the number of people who satisfy the predicate of having a cookie is far larger.
Hold on. How many? I think you left out a detail. In the example where the person has 200 cookies, are there other
one
people?
Person has 200 cookies, and the other.
Are there other people in that example? You didn't tell me.
There's 100. Yeah, there's 101 people total. 99. One person is going to be.
Wait, so
one person is going to be distinct. Yeah. So one person is going to be distinct from the other 100. The 100 people. So there's two groups. How many? One of them consists.
How many cookies do the other people have? What the fuck is this?
Which one? The collection of 100 people?
Dude, you need to get your crayons out and write this shit down before you call in. What is this? Why do I have to do it for you? Okay,
Yeah,
so why is it 101 people? Like, can we do 99 and 1? What the fuck?
I do find it kind of cute that you have this expectation for people who use technical terms, and I feel that it's technical and obligate them to reduce it down for people that
I've
are stupid and
demonstrated
don't
that
wanna
the
do
way in
conceptual
which
work
you
on the
use
stuff we talk
technical
about.
terms is unnecessary and bullshit.
No, it's not unnecessary because you just agreed that it pertains to what
demonstrated
we're
that
talking about.
Dude,
So I
we're
said
talking,
that, even though the cardinality...
Listen, caller, listen, shut up. We're talking about cookies and you can't keep it straight. And you want to talk to me about cardinality and utilitarianism? Let's figure out the fucking cookies. Demonstrate you know how to have a fucking conversation.
Yeah, so
this
the
shit
cookies
is not
here...
making any sense to me. What
Fine,
am I writing down?
Yeah, so let's just say that the cookies in this case, it could be the level of satisfaction or dissatisfaction. It can represent that, right? We're going to say the cookie denotes satisfaction or dissatisfaction.
But we haven't even figured out what's happening. Okay, there's one example where there's 100 people, each of them have a cookie. That sounds nice to me. The second example, one person has 200 cookies. You said that there's 101 people otherwise, the 101 people total, so there's 100
Okay, so there's
other
101 people total.
What do they have?
Okay, so there's 101 people total. Let me just say it. So now we're gonna separate them. Let's say one of them is wearing a red shirt.
Wait.
And then 100 people are wearing a blue shirt. So this is how we're gonna distinguish.
How many cookies do the other 100 people have in the second example below my red crayon line on my notepad?
Okay. So there's 101 people total people. You got that, right?
101 people total. One of them has 200 cookies. Am I following correctly?
And then the other 100 each have one cookie.
Okay. So the 100 other people have 100 cookies total. So it's 300 cookies total in this separate example. Am I following?
Yeah. So there's 300. Correct.
300 total. Now I'm following. Okay.
But But one person, let's say we're gonna distinguish him from the group of 100, the one that has 200 cookies, right?
Yeah. I would probably be like, bro, why do you have so many cookies? That's how I might distinguish him. I might be like,
no. But it's just
cookies.
It's just within like this analogy that I'm giving you, right?
Yeah, so, I don't know how we're going to get to rape, but
although
we'll see.
The cardinality of the number of people who satisfy having at least one cookie in one group is far larger than the second group, which is just one person, right? But the total number of cookies that are in the group of just one person is vastly larger than the total number of cookies.
Aren't you using Philbro terms to talk about the difference between the mean and the median? Because the average number of cookies in the second example is greater than 1, but the median number is just 1, which is the same as the previous example. Then use mean and median, because those are the fucking words that people know. You're trying to sound smart by using all these unnecessary terms.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
intelligize it, buddy. Intelligize it up. The intelligent thing to do is to use the words that most people in the audience know and already have, which are mean and median to describe these principles. You are doing this unintelligently.
Yeah, so it would be the same as saying, for example, I knew Trump was
right the fuck past it.
So it would be the same as me knowing that Trump is a rapist, but I knew that if I voted for Trump, Trump was going to end all rape, and Trump was going to give each person $1 million, right? Now, he may have done that thing in the past, which was wrong, but me knowing this consequence of voting for him, it's going to be vastly larger. It's going to be vastly better.
I'm not muted. I'm just mouthing.
Yeah. So I can know that he's like a rapist, which is completely wrong, by the way. Let me just make sure to point that out. Rape is completely wrong. But I knew that if I did vote for him, he was going to take any action possible to make sure rape never happens. He's going to make sure everyone's a millionaire. He's going to make sure everyone is, rich. Everyone is whatever.
How the fuck did we get from cookies to rape? I missed it.
Well, the cookies were just an analogy to show you the utility.
No, I demonstrated that they were a good demonstration of the fact that you're an asshole who insists on using unnecessary, obscure Philbro terminology instead of just using the words mean and median to look at this sort of thing.
Wait, but do you get it now? So you get why?
I don't know how this relates to the fact that the Supreme Court agrees with me that Donald Trump is a rapist.
Yeah, so okay, sure, the Supreme Court can agree with you. I mean, I'm not really debating whether or not Trump did it or not. I mean, I believe that he did it, and I think he was wrong for doing it.
So wait, hold on. You believe that he did it? I just want to make sure that we zoom in on that. Can we just find? Okay,
and I also say that he's wrong.
And you support him as president, right?
Only by utility. I'm saying that what he does consequentially.
But utility is clearly very important to you. So yes or no, do you support Donald Trump?
The utility is going to be indexed to one individual who's voting for him.
I don't care if it's because of sunshine and daisies or how handsome he is. I'm asking you if you support the guy. Who gives a shit if it's utilitarianism? Yes or no?
Yeah,
Those are the only answers available to you. Yes, you support him. Okay, so
but not for the fact that he's a rapist.
There's okay, right? I understand that. So I'm just going to ask you to put the two things together. I want you to say the words out loud. I support Donald Trump, who I believe to be a rapist.
I don't see the Well, me believing that he did it, right? So look, see, now you're just playing this game.
He did it. No, yes, I'm trying to get you to like stand for what you it's the second time it happened today.
Wait,
you said you recognize. No, forget the fucking
this is a
cookies.
silly game
I put the crayons down. The crayons are gone. You admitted that you believe that Trump is a rapist, and you say that you support him because of utilitarianism. I don't care the reason why. You do support him. That's what's important to me. So say the words, I support Donald Trump, who I believe is a rapist.
Donald Trump is a rapist.
You can say,
and I condemn that.
Rapist with an R. We're done with rapist. TikTok has grown up just like the rest of us. Welcome to the 21st
Trump
century.
is terrible
the president is a rapist. We can say the words, and you're going to say them right now.
But I think that his policies...
No, you're not going to let you get away from it. You said that you believe Donald Trump to be a rapist and that you support him as president because of utilitarianism.
I just believe that his policies that benefit the American people outweigh the fact that he was once a rapist back in the days.
I want you to say the words that you support Trump, who you believe to be a rapist.
I really don't want to do that, to be honest with you.
Oh, you're really not going to want to do what I insist happens next. Have you been
watching?
Don't kick me out. No, I'm not going to kick you. Let the Wookiee in the chat knows what I'm going to ask. Does everybody else know what I'm going to ask? Get the emojis out. Let the guests know what I'm going to ask next, everybody. Given that he supports Donald Trump, who he believes to be a rapist. Camera.
And he's wrong for that?
Camera on. Show your face.
No, why?
Because you support a president who you yourself admit is a rapist. It's time for you to put your money where your mouth is by showing the world what you look like. You are not going to be allowed to proceed on to anything else.
Wait.
The only thing I'm willing to discuss with you is the fact that you recognize that Donald Trump is a rapist and support him anyway, and that you're unwilling to show your face in accordance with that
you do realize how that's like an arbitrary conjunct, right?
Camera.
No.
Why not?
But anyways.
Why, you checking? You're afraid of people knowing what you believe? You think I'm not afraid of people knowing what I believe? You think I don't get death threats?
No, because you're making it seem... Wait, you're making it seem as if I'm supporting Trump, even though rape is like, for example...
I have a rule on my show, which is when people say they're okay with the president being a rapist, I insist they show us who they are.
When did I say I was okay with it?
You refused.
I just said it's wrong.
No, you said you support him as president, which means you're okay with the president being a rapist.
Yeah, because I support his policies, not his character. I vote based on policy. I think Trump's a terrible person.
Turn your camera on.
Which I've mentioned multiple times.
Turn your camera on.
I don't see the relevance of me having to turn on my camera.
Yes, you do. Fuck you. I don't believe you. You know exactly the relevance. Don't play dumb. You're clearly smarter than that, Mr. Big Philbro word guy who reads lots of books, right? You can understand what the fuck I'm saying to you.
Listen,
you know what's happening. You know the corner you're in. You know that there's only two ways out of the corner. The two ways out of the corner are to hit one of two buttons. You can hit the run button and leave the call, or hit the button that turns your fucking camera on. Let me make sure I send you the invite.
What do you think makes a good president?
Camera on. I want to talk about that face to face. Camera on.
Wait, what do you think makes a good president?
Camera on, and I'll answer your question.
No, because I know what you're going to say. You're going to say policy and character. I think his character is terrible.
Two options.
But I think his policy is great.
Or run. Camera or run.
Well, I'm not going to be the one running because it seems like you're going to be kicking me, which is not me running. It's going to be you running.
We've got a half hour. We can spend it telling my audience that this guy who says that he's okay with president being a rapist, because
I never said that. You're just making stuff up.
Just to review. Okay, let's do it again. Let's see if you're going to contradict
yourself. It's on YouTube. They can see what I actually said.
Let's see if you'll contradict it. Yes or no? True or false? You believe that Donald Trump is probably a rapist?
Donald Trump is a rapist and he's a terrible person.
Rapist.
Yeah, Donald Trump is a terrible person and a rapist.
Rapist.
I'm not going to say the word. I'm not going to say the term.
Dude, I'm the host. You think you're going to get in trouble for saying it? What the fuck is wrong with you? Grow the fuck up. We've discovered that on the Oskar Quentin show, the mods don't mind if people say rapist. Be a big boy and say that Donald Trump is a rapist.
Yeah, Donald Trump is
I'm saying it. You can hear me saying it. I'm not getting banned. Like, just fucking say it. Donald Trump is a rapist.
Yeah, okay, wait. Yeah, he is. And he's a terrible person.
Okay, you admit that Donald Trump is a rapist. And you support Donald Trump, right?
His policies.
Right, but you support him as president because of his policies, right?
Yeah, not because of the fact that he...
Okay, right, so we're going to leave out the becauses.
I think he's a terrible moral...
Hey, you're a Philbro. You should recognize that we now have two propositions. We have a this and a that. We know it's true that you think he's a rapist. We know it's true that you support him. Can we put a little conjunction between them? Can we make it an and statement and say that it is therefore true that you think he's a rapist
can just wait.
And you support him? Do you want to do some basic propositional logic that even my audience can understand?
Yeah, so I mean, you can just take that for like, say, any wrong thing. For example, suppose that maybe when you were a child,
this should work on
and you stole a cookie from the cookie jar, and I said, "Oh, you support Oskar Quentin, and Oskar Quentin is a thief."
Let's do some propositional logic. I have some propositions. You're just going to tell me if you think they're true or false. Proposition 1: you support Donald Trump.
Yeah, I support Donald Trump because
if you understand, do you understand propositional logic? Because you're only allowed to say yes or no. It's a logical question, A or B, black or white. That's the whole point of propositional logic. So shut the fuck up with all your asterisks and tell me yes or no, true or false. You support Donald Trump.
I support Donald Trump. Yeah.
True. You believe Donald Trump to be a rapist.
That's an arbitrary conjunct. Yeah, but yeah, Donald Trump is a rapist.
What do you mean it's an arbitrary conjunct? What the fuck are you talking about?
Because the conjunct, they're just picking out something that's true of Donald Trump as a moral character. The reason why I support him as a president is because of his policies.
You're supposed to be a Philbro. This is supposed to be your forte. We're doing basic propositional logic. We have one proposition that you support Donald Trump. You said yes. Second proposition, you believe Donald Trump to be a rapist. True or false?
I believe that Donald Trump is a rapist and a terrible person.
Okay, great. So, you believe that Donald Trump is a rapist and a terrible person, and you support Donald Trump as president. True or false?
I think the rapist part
True or false? True or false? Propositional logic. No.
Wait, the rapist part is with respect.
You can't say anything other than true or false because it is a conjunct. Do I need to get the fucking crayons out?
Policy is with respect to his presidency.
Why won't you say the words out loud? You're a Philbro. You're supposed to know how this shit works.
Okay, can I just make this pretty simple?
No, you can do nothing but answer my propositional logic question. We have established proposition 1.
So now all you want to do.
We're starting over at the beginning because you jumped off ship. And again, I will remind everybody, this is a person who believes in this proposition, won't say it out loud, and is refusing to turn his camera on. These are the only topics.
Okay, look, but I explained it to you. I said him being a rapist.
Law of the Wild says you've been completely out Philbro'd. Oscar's superpower. I used to be a Philbro, bitch.
I know. That's with respect to his personhood, which I reject. I think he's a terrible person.
Club because I didn't like the Philbros.
Which I think he's a terrible person. But I think his policy is with respect to his presidency.
True or false? We're going to start over until you actually follow the fucking rules that you yourself as a Philbro claim to value.
Dude.
True or false? You support Donald Trump.
With respect to his presidency.
It's
as a president.
A propositional logic parameter. So if the answer is no because of the... You support Donald Trump as president. True or false?
As a president.
As a president, you support Donald Trump. True or false?
I think that as a person, I don't support him. So it's like weird.
Dude, you need to hang up your fucking Philbro robes.
What do you mean by
what do you mean by propositional logic? Thank you, Jenna, for the galaxy. What the fuck, dude? True, we've said it 5 fucking times. You don't even need to do you need a cheat sheet? You can go back in the VOD and listen to you answer this question fucking 5 times in a row over the course of the last 10 minutes. But I'm just trying to bundle it all into one fucking soundbite, which you're afraid of doing, which is why you are refusing to turn your camera on to back this shit up. Thank you, Max, for the fucking whale thing that whatever the fuck it is, I don't care. But thank you, Max. Fucking true or false? We're starting over from the goddamn beginning. You support Donald Trump as president. True or false?
True.
Thank you for the Galaxy Rogue Ghost. True or false? You believe Donald Trump is probably a rapist.
Not as a president, but yeah.
What the fuck does that even mean? President. He is a man. He is but a mere mortal who has committed rapes. That makes him a rapist. I don't care that he's president. That's nothing to do with my proposition. You are bringing up additional claims. You have failed your Philbro test. You are not a Philbro. You don't understand propositional logic, and you want to talk about cardinality.
Wait, we agree that Schmittler was a bad person, right?
True or false?
Terrible person.
You support Donald Trump as president.
But let's just say Schmittler saved dogs.
He said, true or false? You support Donald Trump as president.
It's like, I respect Schmittler in virtue of him saving dogs.
You support Donald Trump as president.
That doesn't mean that I respect Schmittler as a moral character.
You support Donald Trump as president.
As a president, yes, not as a person.
True. Okay. Stop adding shit. You do recognize that because we're doing propositional logic, Mr.
I'm making sure that you understand the questions that you're asking me, and I'm receiving your questions in a manner that you understand.
I'm letting you move the goalpost, you mother... Goddamn, all the things I want to call you that I can't call you because of TikTok TOS. I'm letting you move the goalposts on these propositions. You support Donald Trump as president. True or false?
I support Donald Trump as president. True.
That's 1. I hope we don't have to do this again. Here's 2. You believe Donald Trump is probably It's the last proposition. Keep track, dude. Come on. You're not going to get out of this that fucking easy. Number 2. You believe that Donald Trump is probably a rapist.
True.
Okay. Here's my super complicated propositional logic argument. We've got A and B. A is that you support Donald Trump. B, or as president, because you wanted to clarify that. B is that you recognize that he's probably a rapist. So A and B conjuncted together through the most basic day one logic 101 shit that you can take in a philosophy class.
The conclusion is?
It is the conclusion that the argument that I'm making is that it is true that you support Donald Trump for president in spite of the fact, which is a complicated phrase that means and logically, and you know he's probably a rapist.
Okay, and what's the inference rule of the argument?
I'm asking you if the proposition A and B
Yo, you made
true.
An argument. You just said
A and B. That's my argument.
Wait, A and B is supposed to be the set of premises, and the conclusion is supposed to follow from the set of premises. So can you tell me the inference rule, at least lay out the postulates, so I can understand what it is?
B, therefore... A, what's the symbol? Which one do you use? The dot? A and
P,
B.
Well, typically I use P.
There's my fucking work, dude. It's not a hard question.
Uh-huh. Wait, but that conjunct is just picking out two.
Therefore, A and B.
Yeah, because I just told you the reason I support Trump is not with respect to his personhood. It's with respect to his presidency.
Forget about Trump. If A is true and B is true, is it appropriate to say A and B is true?
Yeah, it would be approached about. What was your first question?
Check my work.
Wait, what was the first proposition?
Stop. Listen. Forget. I just want to check if you know what. Do you understand what's on this? On what I wrote with my crayons? Do you get what's on the screen right now? Do you know what this says? It says that I think that A is true. I think that B is true. Therefore, I can conclude that A and B is true. This is an assignment you might do on day one of a logic class in a philosophy class if you're going to school to get a degree in philosophy. This is the most basic argument I have ever made on this show. If A is true and B is true, is it appropriate to say that A and B is true?
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate to say that A and B is true.
Okay, so let's go back to the fucking beginning and talk about what A and B represent.
Wait,
A represents your support.
Modality.
No, it fucking doesn't.
Yes, it
is
does.
the prop. No, it fucking doesn't.
Wait, would you like to wait? Should I give you an example of why it's not true?
No, are you trying to argue that this doesn't always work?
Yeah, this statement is false.
That's fucking nonsense.
This statement is false.
This statement is false?
No, this statement is false. Is it true or false?
Which statement? What the fuck are you talking about?
If I said this statement is false, is the statement true or false?
W's in the chat for me between YouTube and TikTok. 1,000 concurrent.
Buddy.
1,000 concurrent for the first time. Thanks for everybody sending the gifts.
Yeah, so if I said
Oscar, because this motherfucker is doubting that if we know that A is true and that we know that B is true, then therefore we can conclude that A and B is true. You don't understand logic.
That wouldn't even work under like a modal. So, like for example, if we use modal logic, right? And we use like
we're not using modal logic. We're using propositional logic. We're assessing propositions that you agreed with. A, that you support Donald Trump as president. And B, that you believe that Donald Trump is probably a rapist. Therefore, you recognize that Donald Trump is a rapist and support him anyway. That's what this fucking says. And you have to switch from propositional logic to modal logic to make it make sense.
That's
because
not even
you know
AD.
that you are a rape apologist.
Wait, so you just said that A is true, B is true, and then you proceeded to say A? But then when you said B, you didn't say B. You didn't use it with the same predicate. So you didn't use the term president there. You said, oh, you support Donald Trump. You recognize Trump as a rapist.
Oh no, I said the wrong words. Here, if you're so wise and you have such a good memory, you do it.
Yeah.
Here's the proposition. A is that you support Donald Trump as president.
As president, correct.
B is that you recognize that Donald Trump is probably a rapist.
Donald Trump is probably a rapist, but not as president.
So read this part out. No, it's not, but not as president. What the fuck are you talking about? He's a person.
Yeah, so
he is a rapist.
I support Donald Trump as president, right? I recognize that Donald Trump is a rapist, but I do not support him for the fact that he's a rapist.
No, how did we get to not?
I still said A and B.
How did we get to not A? No,
I still said A and B.
Not A with a dash over the top.
Clearly you're not tracking. Clearly you're not tracking.
We don't know. That's not, no, it's A. What the fuck are you talking about?
I say A and B? So if you said, for example, you said, A is apples and B is oranges. All I want you to say is A and B. And I said apples and oranges and bananas.
Exactly.
Me adding the extra conjunct of bananas
come from? This conversation
I still
is
said A and
bananas.
B.
How did
I
we
still
get
said
to
A and-
bananas? No.
I still
listen
said
to
the conjunct A and B, dipshit.
This is fucking
Are
insane.
you tracking?
Dude. We're gonna try again. A is
A
the
and B is a
proposition.
subset of A, B, and C. Would you like me to cook you on set theory as well?
Where did you get C? Why are we talking about C? We're talking about A
C
and
doesn't
B.
matter. For example, if you said A is apples and B is oranges, and all I want you to say is the conjunctive A and B, and I
yes.
said the conjunctive
Yes.
A and B is
Yes.
apples
So
and
let's-
oranges,
so
and I
let's do
added
that.
and bananas,
So let's
me
do
saying
it.
apples
Fucking
and
stop
oranges
with the
and bananas.
No,
I still
let's do
said
it. Let's
apples
do
and
it. Let's do
oranges
it.
because that's a
Let's
subset of the
let's
set
do
that has
the
a
apples and
cardinality of
oranges
3. But
exercise.
clearly you're so stupid that you're not tracking.
We're gonna do the apples and oranges exercise. What does A represent?
Apples or like Donald Trump? You're supporting Donald Trump as a president. Yeah, I support Donald Trump as a president
B?
because of his policies. Donald Trump, I believe that Donald Trump is probably a rapist.
Okay, so now read A and B.
So I support Donald Trump as president. And I do believe that Donald Trump is probably a rapist as
Why
a
are you
person.
changing the word?
I think he's terrible.
No, the whole point
Well,
is
I
that you
still
didn't
said it.
like
I
me
still said it, dipshit.
No,
I still said it. I still said it.
You have
And
to
I just
say it the
added
same
the extra
fucking way.
stuff.
No, you said you
No,
took
because
issue
it
with me
looks-
not saying it
yeah,
exactly
because
the same way.
it looks
So you
wrong.
have to say it the same way. We're
Because
gonna
it
start
looks
again.
wrong, man.
What does A represent?
It looks wrong at face value, so I have to add
That's
that
why you
extra
won't turn
part,
on your
but
camera. I
still
love the
said A
banana.
and B.
I love the banana emojis in the chat, but I will remind everybody that they should be camera emojis
But I
because
still
the
said
coward
A
won't
and
turn
B.
on his camera.
Are you tracking?
A, what does A
Anyways,
represent?
let's just look at it. Wait. A, in this case, would be representing me supporting Donald Trump as a president.
B.
Me not supporting Donald Trump as a person.
No, what? No, you think that he's a rapist. That's what it says.
That's an analytic truth. That's an analytic truth in virtue
you
of what the
made it a
proposition was.
different thing to
Yes.
try to get
No.
out of this. The whole time, don't fucking pretend
Is that, wait,
you
was that,
forgot.
would that not be an analytic
No,
consequence?
shut up.
Is that not an analytic consequence?
Stop. Don't pretend for
Is
a
it not
fucking
an analytic
Stop asking questions and recognize that it is bullshit for you at this point in this the deep, dark part of the corner that you're in to suddenly think that B means something other than that you think Donald Trump is a rapist because we've been doing this same bit for like a half a
Wait, if
fucking
we had a set
hour
of two
and everybody
propositions-
knows that that's what it means.
Okay.
You fucking
If we had
banana
a set
pretzel
of two
ABC
propositions-
have an ass motherfucker.
Yeah, sure.
Like what the fuck is this?
So,
try it
wait,
again.
so you're
A,
crashing
what
out.
does
Calm
A
down.
represent?
Me supporting Donald Trump as the president of the United States because of his policies.
B.
Me not supporting Donald Trump as a person because I think he's a terrible person.
That's not what it represents. It represents the fact that you recognize that he's probably a rapist. We've been on that exact proposition for like a fucking half hour. That is what B represents in my little problem here. Are you going to go back on that and say that you don't think he's a rapist now?
Okay, suppose we took a binary set of two propositions, and the propositions that were contained within the set is
A.
Donald
What does
Trump.
A mean?
What does A mean? It just means that I support Donald Trump as a president.
What does B mean?
The analytic
No, it
consequence
means
of it would
that
just
you
be
think
not
he's
supporting
probably a
Donald
rapist. We've been through this. What the fuck are you doing? This is
which is him as a person. I think his
No,
presidency
B,
has a distinct
do I need to write
ontological
it down?
status as his personhood. Wait, because his presidency is going to be based on the policies that he acts upon, right? But I think his personhood is just going to have a distinct
I wrote it
ontological
down.
status.
B equals Trump is a rapist. A, what does A equal?
Me supporting Donald Trump as president.
B.
Donald Trump is a rapist.
Now read both out loud.
It's just kind of like a bad faith tactic that you're
Just
using.
read them fucking out loud, dude. What the fuck?
It's bad faith.
No, it's not.
Because it
You
makes it
agreed to
seem
both
like-
of these things.
No, I understand that, but on face value, it can just seem like, oh, I support Donald Trump as president, and the reason that I support him is because of what's written in B, which is obviously not the case, right?
That's not
Obviously I do
what.
not support him for the fact
That's
that-
not how propositional logic works. You would fail propositional logic if you took a propositional logic class.
Well, if I was taking a propositional logic class, I'm pretty sure the teacher wouldn't be writing me having to commit myself to the view that I'm supporting, for example, a rapist in virtue of him being a rapist, which is not true.
We use arbitrarily uncomfortable and difficult things when we talk about propositional logic to demonstrate that regardless of how uncomfortable and difficult these things are to talk about, we still have to respect the rules of propositional logic. And you are demonstrating that you are unprincipled. You don't care about logic and reason. You
Because
don't
it's
care about
bad
this.
faith.
You are the one arguing in bad
Yeah.
faith by trying to use these principles, these complicated definitions and things that people don't understand to weasel your way to a logical conclusion when you cannot do even basic A and B, therefore A and B propositional logic. You're gonna get fucking kicked unless you turn on your fucking camera. I'm done with my fucking crayon example.
With at least one respect to one thing, do you support Adolf Schmittler?
Camera.
Just one specific thing.
No, I don't fucking support Hitler. Turn on your camera.
Okay. And
My camera's
in no
already on.
respect, is there one specific reason in which that you would actually favor?
Camera. I'm not going to answer any more questions.
Can support.
I'm done. I'm convinced this is a troll, dude. Like, you're not standing on your own beliefs. This is ridiculous. Camera, get off my show. Oh, he ran. Goodbye. If you think that I have the capacity to out Philbro the Philbros, you should go to the link tree in my bio and follow me on the other platforms. And if you really want to get involved in making sure that I'm up to speed on all this stuff and I get the facts I need, you can hop in that Discord, set up a ticket, and convince the mods that you're not going to, be trouble on there. Show us what your new username is, that sort of thing. You can go set up a ticket on the Discord because the link is now public. It's in the link tree in the bio, down below the socials. But you should follow me on all the other platforms. That helps immensely. Doesn't cost you a dime. And if you have a dime to spare, you can send it to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Or as a lot of people have been doing, you can send it as a gift. Thanks everybody for the gifts. I know the TikTok gifts were just erupting while I was going on that little rant there. Thanks everybody. I wasn't keeping track very well, and I should double check the YouTube super chats because I also wasn't paying very close attention to that. Real complicated stuff. A and B, therefore A and B, that Philbro couldn't get behind. Butt Mustard sent me $2 to say, here's W Oscar, here's one cookie. Thank you for the cookie. Oh my gosh, wait, there's more. He's more. Oh my god. Oh shit. So many. Okay, wait. We're back to the Looks Master. I'm sorry for dropping the ball on the donations, everybody. This was lots of fun. And seriously, we did break 1,000 concurrent for the first time. I'm pretty sure. I saw the YouTube and the TikTok. Like, YouTube got to 250 and TikTok got to 750. So we broke 1K today. That's exciting for me. I've been waiting for that. W Dean on that one for sure. Sonny wants to know my birthday for $2. It's at the end of July. I'm not going to announce the exact date, but I'll be turning 31. Tim sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, Trump didn't drain the swamp. He brought the swamp to the reflecting pool. I already read that one, which means I'm reading these out of order. Forgive me. I'm a little flustered. Mirror sent me $2 to say the corruption around the Epstein files has low utility. I agree. Pat in the chat says, Caller, grape is okay because the ends justify the means. Also, Caller, core family values are at the heart of my vote. Probably. Explain yourself. That's an Oskar Quentin cut. We're going to make Explain Yourself shirts. I know people have been asking for them. Sackboss sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, if he's a terrible person, why would you trust him to make a good policy, dipshit? Yeah, we didn't even get to that. We had to recognize the propositional logic to even get that far, and the guy couldn't do basic propositional logic. My goodness. Because rapists always make good policy for women. Terrible people always have the best judgment on policies, says Ego Essex on YouTube for $5. Yeah, of course. The guy wasn't going to... We know he wasn't going to make a good faith argument for the utility of having a rapist as president, right? Like, that wasn't what was going to happen. Draw it on a Venn diagram of Trump's characteristics and what supporting him means, says Soul Caliber. Yeah, I just don't think we would have... We couldn't do A and B. I don't think we were going to get there. So I appreciate the suggestion, but it's just... It would require him listening and following rules of logic, which that guy didn't do. A is true. B is true. Therefore, A and B equals true. Caller is being disingenuous. Don't steal my stuff. Sent that for $5 on YouTube Super Chat. And yeah, I completely and totally agree. Oh, and Mary sent me $5 on Venmo to say, that was epic. You should have kicked him earlier. He was a pseudo-intellectual or just a fucking idiot. Yeah, but I abused him for the clips. And Lucky Phil sent another $2 on Buy Me a Coffee to say, dang it, Hollaback Girl's now stuck in my head. Fuck you. This shit is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S, bananas. Damn it, you did it to me too. YouTube copyright strike me that, so nobody has to see that. Where was I on Venmo? I don't even fucking remember. Holy shit. David can't even live up to his own username. Won't. Oh yeah, he's talking about Looks Maxer, I think. I'm behind on the donations. I was cooking that Philbro for so long. David just said, I just found out Venmo censors notes. Now imagine the things I said about Trump to get censored, and this kid defends Trump. W in the chat for David. W. Matt sent me $5 on Venmo to say, love when my fellow creators have this energy. Maybe it's a musician thing. W Oscar all day. I am a performer after all. I'm a theater child. I'm one of those deplorable thespians doing battle with the Philbros on the public stage in the town square of TikTok. Yeah, it is performative. The guy got me worked up, but I think the longtime viewers know I don't have a temper like that. It's just... Anyway, do we do another? We got 10 minutes. Today's open-ended. I got the staff coming over I got one of the two staff members coming over for our week turnover meeting to do a bunch of boring shit, but that's not until this evening. So I've got some time. How do I feel about the SpaceX IPO? Not strongly. You know, I try to judge that sort of thing as though like if Elon Musk like wasn't running it, because I don't know, SpaceX is doing some good stuff, Tesla's doing some good stuff. Elon Musk is a monster and not a scientist or an engineer. He's a businessman. We're going to talk to Enoch, Enoch. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. We might get a long show today, guys. I could. Perilous Ramen is the staff member who's coming over. She is advising me to go 3 hours. So get double tapping away on the screen. I don't think the show is ending. I'm worked up. It's Eugene Carroll Day. Enoch, after you tell me how old you are, tell me how to pronounce your name.
Me? Hello? What?
Hello? How old are you? Do you intend to be on my show?
Oh, no. I didn't even know I was in the queue, actually.
Goodbye. We're going to talk to Justin.
Get out of Minnesota, stupid nigger. Get out of Minnesota, you...
All right. That wasn't even Justin. That was somebody else who the mods added. So get that guy banned. Get that fetus banned. Justin, how old are you?
I'm 42, bro. What's cracking?
Checking why people support Trump on this particular Monday.
Why wouldn't we, bro? Gas prices are going down.
But the gas prices, no, that's disingenuous. You know that the gas prices are higher than they
No, they're going down, bro. They are going down. You guys just like to...
Why were they so high? Why were they so high?
You tell me, bro, because you seem to know everything.
It's because of the war in Iran.
No, it's not. It's not a war, dude. It's a conflict.
It's because of the conflict in Iran.
See, I got you to change your tone.
No, it is
there,
a war,
buddy.
but it's also true that it's a conflict and it doesn't affect the main argument that I'm making about it affecting the... No, here, wait. I want to... Here, I remember you. We've spoken before. Let's try it. Let's see if you can understand.
Did Congress write off on it as a war, though?
No, you have to listen. You have to listen.
Do we have boots on the ground?
No.
Do we have boots on the ground?
Listen. You're going to use your list. I need you to... My dog just bumped my music stand. Sorry. Anyway, are you listening? Do I have your attention?
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Okay. So
I can't wait to hear your shit that's coming out of your mouth, bro.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I understand this argument. So I said that the gas prices are high because of the war in Iran. I'm gonna kick you if you don't stop making that noise. Not having it today, dude. So I said that gas prices are high because of the war.
Goddamn, you triggered already.
It's like 800 people watching, dude. Like, yeah.
Bro, that's my son playing with his fucking drum set. I'm not gonna tell him to stop.
I'm just, I should have banned him. I'm done with that guy. He can't have a fucking conversation. That's the thing. I get enough viewers now. I don't have to talk to people like that who can't have a fucking conversation at all. Bro. I wanted to check if he could understand that the reason I was willing to let him move the goalposts from war to conflict is because even though I disagree, it is a conflict. It's also a war, but it doesn't matter for my argument because even if we call it the conflict, it's still the reason that the gas prices are going higher. But he's not going to engage with that sort of thing. We're going to talk to LTWAUDER123, LT space water 123. Seen that username before. What are we in for? Oh God, what's happening?
Hello.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
24. Do you support Trump?
I'm not American, so I just wanted to ask you about a topic. I don't think you ever discussed this on the show, but what is your opinion about surrogacy?
Like women having their baby using somebody else's uterus?
No, I'm more focused about two male gay partners paying a woman to have their baby.
Oh, all for it. Yeah, I support LGBTQIA plus community members becoming parents. Absolutely.
Okay, so why do you think it's moral to pay a woman to give up a baby for someone else? I just want to be clear, I'm not against LGBTQ.
Sounds like you are. So wait, why does it matter that they're... Wait, if you're not against LGBTQIA+, then it doesn't matter that they're gay, right? It could be a straight couple that's having trouble conceiving?
I'm just think, in my opinion,
yes or no? Yes or no? It's the same if it's a straight couple that are having trouble conceiving.
Yes.
Okay, then why did you bring up a gay couple? But you're fine with it being a straight couple where they just are having trouble.
Okay, so I take back my words. I'm against anyone paying to a woman to have a baby because I think, in my opinion, it's exploiting an underprivileged women for their body.
Are you opposed to adoption happening?
No, I'm not against adoption.
What's the difference?
The difference that they pay a woman to have a baby and they're taking it. That's the difference.
I don't think you understand this stuff enough, and I'm not going to engage with somebody who doesn't. Have a good day. Don't have a good day. Some of your beliefs are reprehensible. Have an educational day. An educational day is not going to be a good one for you. We're going to talk to Lawry, Lawry. And
Okay.
Leslie hit the nail on the head. A surrogacy is a consensual situation, which is really what matters. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay.
And I am a friendly, but I'm just gonna say I'm not very well versed in like politics and like that. But ever since I found your show, I've been trying to like get a grasp of everything more. And I'm gonna try to vote for like the midterms or the such, you know. Like
W's in the chat for Lawry. Yeah, dude, get out there and vote.
Yeah, like ever since I found the show, you've really just brought more to light of just how crazy these people just are. Like, and they really want me to be on their side after they just had another guy that just came up here and just started screaming slurs. Like, you want me to be on your side? Like, come on now.
I just want to feed the kids. I just want the schools to be good. I want the streets to be safe. I just want life to be good in the areas.
I don't understand how you can be against that. Like, I don't understand how you can just be against that kind of stuff and just be so closed-minded about it. And when you give them questions, they just try to just go to other questions, like the gish galloping you just said. Like that's a new term for me, to be honest, because I'm not very good at debating at all.
Do you know what gish galloping means? Did you catch it from the context?
Yeah, like it's when they keep throwing like questions at you that you can't get all at once. I mean, you can get them, but they just throw so many at them.
Exactly. That's perfect. You got it completely. That's a perfect description. Let me tell you what, Lawry. Lawry, is that your name?
Well, it's just like a little nickname.
I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, you good.
Well, look, I'll tell you what. You said you were going to try to vote, and that shows me that you don't necessarily have like all that much confidence. So I'll tell you this: if you message me about your concerns about voting, I will make sure that you get what you need. Let's figure out what paperwork you need. Let's get you voting, and maybe you can become one of those wonderful people who gathers some of the people around you in your life and says, "Hey, it's really important that we vote," and you get some of those people to do those things. Maybe that's the role that you can play in this, because you might not be super great at arguing all this complicated nonsense that these assholes bring us. But you can vote, and you can get some people around you to vote, and I think that's everybody's civic duty right now. I think that's really important.
And yeah, that's what I really want to do, because like I know like you're probably like not very well versed in like family stuff like that, like family like politics and stuff like that. And my mom, she's not really a conservative at all right. She doesn't really get into politics, but she believes some of the things Trump did is good, but she doesn't actually fully know. And I want to try to actually explain it to her, and that's why I've been watching your streams more and more, so I can actually explain it to her more and try to get her to vote too. Because it's not like she's even a bad person; it's just that she just doesn't understand. She doesn't even know anything about Eugene Carrol and all this other bad stuff that's happening.
I spent a lot of time on the show clarifying that I think that most people who voted for Trump or still support him aren't necessarily bad people. They're just kind of foolish. They've been fooled by all of this bullshit. You've seen the type of bullshit they bring. It sounds to me like you're not convinced by the bullshit. And
yeah, I'm not convinced at all, because like I said, if I really I'm kind of in poverty, not too much, but just kind of in poverty. But if I really want to make money, I could just start saying, "Oh, guys, these leftist liberals, they want to cancel a black man for come, bro, this." It
would be more profitable. It would be more profitable for me to be on the right, but it'd break my fucking heart, and I wouldn't sleep at night. So I sit up here in service of what I really believe in, and I'm really glad to hear that I'm making some sense to you. That's important to me.
Yeah,
I'm having kind of a miserable day talking to these assholes. You're really brightening my day. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. It's just I don't some of these people are just they just sound so insane. Even when you bring them proof, they just go or it's AI. I don't get it. It's just they just don't make any sense.
I appreciate you, man. You should message me if you want help getting figured out what you need to do to vote. I will help you. But I'm
for sure. I couldn't do it in the past because I was younger, and I'm 21 now, so I'll be turning 22 this year. So that's good.
Message me. Tell me the state you live in, and I'll get you some resources. Let's make sure you vote in November.
cool. Because like Trump, man, the things he's just been doing and his followers is just, it's just mind-numbing. I just don't get how people can blindly support him after all these things he does.
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time trying to understand it, and there's certain things I understand about it, but I think for a lot of people, it comes down to the fact that if you have a good heart and you're paying attention, if you care about people, it's really hard to support them, and it sounds like that applies to you. It sounds like you've got a good heart and you care about people, and you're just not okay with what they're up to.
Yeah, like, and even them like trying to be against like the LGBTQ people and stuff like that. Like even myself, like I'm kind of arrow ace, like I'm asexual, aromantic, or how you say it. But like, I just don't get how you can be against gay people for just living their lives, and it really.
They're just trying to be. I hear you.
Yeah, and it hurts my heart when us like conservative gay people, because it's like you're against the people. I mean, you're with the people who are against you.
I hear you. I'm gonna move on. I got to get to some other debates, but I really appreciate you popping up. W's in the chat for Lawry. What a wonderful little moment. Jason sent me $2 on YouTube Super Chat for the crayon fund. That was great. I was actually at a surplus store buying some stuff for the show, and I was like looking for a box of crayons. I need to go to a department store because I'm going to run out of crayons with all these bullshit ideas people are bringing me. Butt Mustard said, will you accept fan art pieces for merchandise? Can we make a channel in the Discord for it? That's a great question. I believe you're in the Discord, aren't you, Butt Mustard? Yeah, talk to the Discord people about that. We really part of the meeting tonight that I'm going to have with Perilous Rama is we're really going to try to make some actionable steps on getting some merch done, because I've got so many funny like quips and stuff that I think will make good shirts that people have wanted. Sue, I see your message and I will read it. Like I said, tonight I'm going to go through all my inboxes for the various platforms and make sure I'm caught up on everything, so I'll definitely see that, Sue. Do I have Venmos to read? We do have more people in the queue, and we might run a long show today because the producer says the show can go on, and I don't know. Jesse, are you the producer or the production assistant? I think it depends on how tired I am. We're going to talk to Patricia Low 96, and I think we're going to do a long show. Let's keep the debates going. So I'm going to say no friendlies for now. Because I'm fucking mad that people are still defending Donald Trump after the Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court has rejected. It's not a ruling. They just rejected it. They couldn't.
Fix your fucking teeth, you dirty nigger. Honestly, get out of
Road trip fun, because I have a dentist in California who's offering me a free set of teeth. So if you want me to be able to go to, probably not going to be a road trip for how valuable my time is these days. I'll probably fly to California sometime during the month of July or August and get myself a new set of twofers because somebody believes in the Oskar Quentin mission and wants there to be a pretty smile behind it. So I'm going to go get a free set of teeth. So linktree in the bio if you want to support all the wonderful things that the show is going to do with that money. But one of them will be getting me a new set of teeth because somebody has offered me new teeth. I chipped my tooth when I was like 10 years old, and the cap, like the replacement, like fell off last year, and I don't have good insurance, so I just didn't deal with it. So that's why my teeth are like, they're not crooked. It's a chipped tooth. See, it's broken. Anyway, so thanks to fetuses like that being entertaining, we're going to get Oscar a new set of teeth. Luke Stew is going to come on, and we'll see if he insults my appearance or actually talks about the politics of America, because that's way more important. Luke Stew, how old are you?
35.
35. Do you support Trump?
I voted for him.
Do you still support him?
When I voted, I was kind of on the fence.
Sounds like if you're on the fence, which way have you moved?
I'm still on the fence. Some days I'll lean.
Well, there's kind of a topic I've been harping on today. Are you aware of the Supreme Court ruling today, or not ruling, but are you aware of what's come out of the Supreme Court today about E. Jean Carroll?
No.
So, you're familiar with the E. Jean Carroll case?
Yeah, it couldn't be a criminal case because the statutes of limitations were up. So now they're making it a like a. What is it, like not a civil? Is that what it's called? Civil case?
Well, so there was a civil case, and there was the jury already found him to be guilty on that. They already ruled on that. He lost the civil case. He had to pay out to E. Jean Carroll. So he was found civilly liable for sexual abuse because New York didn't define it as rape at the time, to put your fingers inside of somebody without their permission. Just personally, would you consider it rape if somebody put their fingers inside you without your permission?
Of course.
Okay, so you do agree that the thing that he was found civilly liable for doing to any reasonable person, we can call it rape. The law in New York at the time didn't. They've updated that, and some judges have ruled that it's not defamatory to call him a rapist because of what we just said. Because they did find him. They did agree. The jury agreed that he put his fingers inside of her without her consent. They called that sexual abuse, but you and I are willing to call it rape. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's non-consensual sexual
penetration.
Yeah. Activities, which that is considered.
You're going even broader than you need to include this in rape, because I think I agree with you. You don't necessarily need penetration for it to be rape. I'd probably agree with that. But that's not even what we're talking about. He did penetrate her without her consent, which makes it rape. And he's been fighting it. He's been appealing left and right. He's been appealing different things that got included as evidence. He's been really fighting it, and the appeal finally made it all the way to the top of our legal system. Made it to the Supreme Court, and in the Supreme Court, I had law.
Whoa! Miss Cakes in the comments called me an apologist. POS.
We're gonna see if you're an apologist.
A grape apologist. POS.
We're gonna see if. Hold on, eyes up here, buddy. You're talking to me. I want to figure out if you're a rape apologist. That's actually really important to me, and that's kind of why I'm talking to you about this stuff. So can we get back to where we were in the conversation?
Sure. I'm
really happy to learn that you're offended by being called a rape apologist. That suggests to me that maybe you're not a rape apologist, and maybe Sue is wrong. So let's figure that out. So the jury thinks he did it, and then he's been appealing it, like I said. And I actually had Law of the Wild, who's a pretty popular lawyer who makes videos about this sort of stuff, hops on people's lives, pretty respected in the community as somebody who knows his stuff about this, because he is an actual lawyer. And he was explaining to me that to get an appeal seen by the Supreme Court, you need 4 of the justices to agree that it is worth seeing. So this doesn't mean that they think that the appeal is right. This isn't making a ruling or a decision. This is a prior step to even get them to see it at all. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Today, the Supreme Court failed to meet that burden. They rejected the appeal. They said, we're not even going to look at it. We're not going to make a decision on it. We're not going to vote on it. We couldn't even convince 4 of the 9 of us that it is worth looking at, because it's very obviously a bad appeal. It's just him desperately trying to fight every legal mechanism that he can, just like he did in 2020 with the election. I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that Donald Trump is a rapist. Do you agree?
According to the courts, yeah. It looks like he,
the chat's pointing out,
crossed the line with that woman.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just
right.
Yeah, I mean, according to the courts,
I think he's probably crossed the line with a lot of women. It's safe to say that.
Great. Sounds like you think that sounds like you'd be perfectly willing to say that he's a sex offender.
I guess, yeah. I mean, sex, it's a pretty strong word. Is he a danger to society that needs to be locked away? I mean, he's 80 at this point.
Well, he's the president, though. He has a lot of control. He has a lot of power.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That is true.
If it was a random 80-year-old, I'd still want to lock him up, because I think that you don't get, I think if you get away with a rape when you're 50, if we catch you when you're 80, I don't care how much time, how relaxed you are on that porch chair. I think you still deserve to go to prison. So, but we don't even really need to use that argument. I would argue that was maybe a kind of rape apologist type of argument. So maybe the chat's right, but you conceded pretty quickly on it. Doesn't matter that he's 80. He's the president of a country where, more than 100 million women live. And you said that it's a big thing to call him a sex offender, but you said that he's definitely crossed the line with lots of women. And that's something I want to zoom in on. I think that if somebody said, oh, that guy, he crosses the line with lots of women, I would think, oh, he's a sex offender. Would you disagree to that just being a reasonable label to put on such a person?
I mean, he is the president of the United States, so it is hard to kind of.
We're not talking about him yet. We're talking about Billy Bob. Billy Bob constantly. Billy Bob frequently crosses the line with women. He was found civilly liable for sexual abuse, a sexual abuse that most people consider to be a rape, that you consider to be a rape, that I consider to be a rape, that the judges consider to be a rape. He appealed it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, that's bullshit. We're not even going to look at it. Because it's not bullshit that you did this bad thing to this woman. I'm saying Billy Bob's a sex offender. Do you agree that Billy Bob's a sex offender?
I mean, if that's what he's been accused of, if that's the evidence that's been proven in court, why would I not think that? I mean,
okay, well,
he's already been
Because you got stuck on the fact that he's the president because we were talking about Trump, so I made it Billy Bob. But I'm sure you recognize all the details are the same. We're just going to swap the names. Instead of Billy Bob, it's Trump. Trump did all the same things as Billy Bob. Is Trump a sex offender?
According to the courts, yeah, he's a sex offender. Because he touched that woman, right?
You're doing something that a previous caller did, which is you keep on adding that little asterisk of according to the courts. And I recognize that the burden of proof's a little bit lower in civil litigation than it is.
Was I there when it happened? No, I wasn't.
I recognize that the burden of proof is a little bit lower. Well, here, I'll use a different example. I usually save this one for when women call in, but maybe it'll work on you. I just try to use it with people who maybe are subject of it. But here, put it this way. Do you have kids?
No.
Are there kids in your life that you care about?
Not really, but I care about kids in general. Like I have.
You can imagine
pets.
having kids.
I have pets. That's it.
I need it to be kids. I need it to be humans for my example to work. But you can imagine that, like, if a family friend had some kids and you needed to babysit them or something like that, right? Like you can imagine.
When I take my dog to the park, no dogs are jumping on him. Put it that way. I care about them a lot.
I want to keep it to people. I want to keep it to humans because I don't want to talk about bestiality and we're talking about sex crimes. So I'm going to keep it to humans, okay?
Okay.
You can imagine a situation, let's say your neighbor has kids, like the kids who live across the street. You can imagine those kids. You can imagine, buying lemonade from their lemonade stand sometimes. You can imagine letting them do a bad job washing your car so they can learn how to wash cars for the car washing drive for the school or whatever. Like you can imagine some kids you care about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Say that your neighbor across the street has to leave town for the weekend, so they're going to just leave the kids with a different neighbor who babysits for them sometimes. They have a babysitter down the block. How convenient. But you know all these people. These are your neighbors, right? Are you able to imagine living on this block and knowing these people?
Look, I understand it, but where you're going with this.
I'm going to say that if you found out that the neighbor that's watching the kids had been found civilly liable of sexual abuse or doing something bad
I have a neighbor that's on the Megan's Law registry. Mm-hmm. He's very old. He pushes a walker around.
Would you leave?
I don't even look at him. It's kind of like, okay, I have a question though. Put yourself in my shoes. This is just a side quest. If you had a neighbor that was on Megan's Law that abused children, and that's what it says on the website, and he's pushing a walker, and you see him walk by like your house, like not every day, but every other day, like, would you wave to him, smile to him? Like, how would you treat that person? I'm just curious. Because honestly, I don't know how to act. I don't even look at the person.
We can talk about that separately. And I actually have a person who went to prison for doing some bad things to kids who's called into the show as a friendly to talk about catching more people who've done bad things. And that was difficult for me. That really.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah.
But can I just save you a little bit of time? If I had to vote today, I probably would vote for Harris. Because I think it's just too much.
It shouldn't. Here's my problem with you. It shouldn't require this level of thought experimentation to get there. The man, you said yourself, he's crossed the line with a lot of women. You didn't want to call him a sex offender for that. Maybe I should have just stayed on that. Why would you even be on the fence about a president who crosses the line with women?
For the sake of your argument, I will concede that he is a sex offender. But in hindsight, he is the president. He's highly scrutinized. And so he's subject to the highest level of attacks that AI, your brain, a supercomputer's brain can come up with. So I do take that with a grain of salt.
He
doesn't mean that I'm
in the 90s, and much
I'm
of
on the side of women
from the 90s.
I'm on the side of women, so that's exactly why I would vote
and all this technology that could do that existed. What you're doing, I'm sorry, I am going to label it this way. I think that what you're doing is being a rape apologist because I think he's a rapist and you're making excuses for his.
No, behavior. what I'm saying is that you can't treat Joe Schmo like your example of Bob. You can't put him on the same level as the president when it comes to scrutiny. It has to be more in depth.
No,
it has to be more in depth.
Backwards. We hold the president to a higher standard, not a lower standard.
That's what I mean, and so higher standards mean more scrutiny.
Yes, it's a big.
I agree with you.
Supreme Court. the level of scrutiny that this case got, it got all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court rejected it. Do you think that's a higher level of scrutiny than Billy
So wait a minute. Shouldn't you be happy? I'm confused.
I'm very happy about this ruling. You just
okay. Then what's the problem? That's what I thought you were upset about it.
So I'm pointing out to you that Billy Bob.
So that's a good thing.
You're not letting me talk now.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
I've had a pretty high energy show. I've talked to some monsters today, and I really turned it down when you joined because I could tell you were being nice. So I just want to be chill and have a conversation about this. But you said that we're going to hold him to like a higher level of scrutiny. Do you think the average person gets their civil litigation about sexual abuse all the way to the Supreme Court? Do you think that's a normal level of scrutiny for a person?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Okay,
no, they don't.
You're right. It's a good point. Yeah. So we have scrutinized it to smithereens.
Yeah, I guess as of today, your argument holds a shit ton of weight as of today, as of this decision. So that's why I'm conceding, I think.
Yeah.
And I think there is no apologizing, there is no supporting. Again, though, he is our president. I don't want to backtrack, but where do we go from here? He's our president. What do we do about it?
I think
he's not the first leader to have done things like this. I'm sure in the world, there has been leaders that have done these kind of things.
Hold on.
What do we do about it? What did they do about it?
Hold on.
Sorry.
What should we do? Now, I can imagine what would happen if I held every seat in Congress. 100 senators, each of them is an Oscar. Whatever the fuck it is. How many is it?
He's our president. Why is that triggering your chat just for me saying he's our president?
Because a lot of people say that because he's the president, you should defend him no matter what, and that's a rape apologist thing to say.
Well,
so people are.
I'm not saying that he's innocent because he's the president, but I'm saying what do we do about it? It's hard. He's the president.
That, and you need to listen. I forgot for a moment.
But your chat is just
Stop looking at the chat. Eyes up here, buddy. Talk to me. Close your eyes. It's an audio call. You don't need to look at me even. If I held
I'm just getting roasted here.
Yeah, it'll happen if you say the sorts of things you've said on this call. You're not as reprehensible as a lot of people have called in today, but you are doing some rape apologist type stuff, and I'm just trying to answer your questions. You said, what should we do about it? If I was every senator, if I was every representative, if they were all clones of Oscar, he'd get impeached and convicted. You know, like the evidence there for high crimes and misdemeanors as president. He's done enough things to get him out of office. So what do we, the people, do? Because that's you and me. We look at all the people who are sitting in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, and we say to them nothing other than, why the fuck are you not voting to impeach Donald Trump? Because we, the people, have the power to change the seats in our democracy. We're going to do that in November. You should be outspoken about it. If you think it's accurate that he should be removed from office because he's a rapist and we shouldn't have a rapist or a sexual offender or whatever label we landed on because you were a little wishy-washy about exactly what it's appropriate to call him. But if you recognize that he does bad things to women sexually and that we shouldn't have him leading, I can list a whole bunch of other shit that should have him impeached. And you should look at any elected representative who represents you in whatever district you live in and think, oh my God, why is this person not voting to impeach Donald Trump? And you should raise fucking hell about it. You should make signs and go out and protest on the street about it. You should call your representative. You should tell your friends, can you believe that our congressperson supports Donald Trump even though the Supreme Court has finally rejected his claims about not being a sexual abuser? You should spend a bunch of your time in your life focusing on that. I have an incredible privilege, which is that people pay me to spend 100% of my life worrying about that, which is why I'm sitting here having this conversation with you. You should go have a conversation like this one with one of your neighbors or one of your friends or one of your family members. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Will you?
I mean, I have a MAGA mother, and she's like a big part of my life. And
family's hard. I'm not asking.
Anytime I try to give,
I'm not asking for you to pick a person and disown them.
It's just tough. Like the people I know,
your mom
aren't really
might be
into
a lost cause, and the cost to you socially might be too great for you want to take that, make that sacrifice for your civic duty. I can respect that. Are you going to go to the...
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying here, dude. I'm getting roasted by the chat.
You'll stop getting roasted if you make a sign that says Trump is a rapist and should be impeached and bring it to your local street corner and wave it at traffic.
I've never thought about this. I've never thought about doing that.
Show the world that you're on the right team, dude. Show the world that you're on the correct side. The chat knows that I'm on the right side. I have
I see the sorry. I see the value, or I see the purpose, but it's just going against the president, man. That's tough.
Do you not believe in the First Amendment?
Yeah.
The First Amendment protects your right to go against the president. That's the whole purpose of these rights. It's really dangerous to live in a country. Do you know what we call it when it's dangerous to go against the president?
Yeah, fascism, right?
Yeah, well, I wasn't even going to use that particular buzzword. I was going to say we don't even use the word president. We just call it a dictator. If the president is free of being in trouble with we the people, that's not a democracy. Would you agree?
No, it's not.
I think that it's a real demonstration of the fact that our democracy's in trouble, that you are sitting here like afraid of going against the president. That's really concerning to me. Why are you afraid of that?
No, I mean, just putting vulgar words on a sign and just going out publicly
the beauty of the First Amendment,
bashing the president.
You don't have to listen to me. You can, I mean, you can word it however you want. Yeah. You're on my team about the fact that you're upset that we have a sexual offender in the Oval Office, right? And it's the fault of our Republicans in Congress that aren't impeaching him.
I knew he struggled with his past relationships, and I know that many of them were questionable, but today you brought it to my attention, just the level of this particular, because I know there's many of this. Isn't the only
everybody in the
victim.
chat's going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I gave you the benefit of the doubt, and I explained to you very clearly just where we're at with these charges against Trump, this civil litigation rather.
There's just so much. I mean, we're flooded with
stuff. There's a bunch. We haven't talked about the Access Hollywood tapes. We haven't talked about the Epstein files. We haven't talked about him hitting on a kid in public that one time. That was really freaky and scary. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff we could go after.
No, yeah, all that stuff.
We haven't talked about his comments about his own daughter. Talking about how attractive his own daughter is and how he'd be dating her if she wasn't his daughter. Like, this guy's a perv. Like Trump's a perv.
Look, I gotta be honest. Circling that bubble that says TRUMP next to it and putting it back in the envelope and mailing it in would feel wrong. At this point, I have to admit it. I mean,
I'm with you.
Even if I did push myself to do it and try to, play devil's or play the lesser of two evils game and all that, it would pull on my heartstrings to do that, to have that get mailed in like that. And I'm just being honest. You've kind of pushed me over the edge. I have to admit it. There's just so much, though. I mean, there's so many other things going on that we could talk about. This is huge, though. This is huge.
Yeah, this is big. I mean, this is a big one.
It all gets lost in the sauce,
There's so much of it. Cycle, and here, I want to tell you.
Is that their plan, to just bombard us, just to absolutely oversaturate us? I mean, that's what it feels like.
That is specifically their plan. Plain as day, that's what they're doing. J.D. Vance just last week said that if Watergate happened today, it would be a 12-hour news story.
That's exactly how I feel. I agree. That's probably the smartest thing he's ever said in his life.
And it was
I don't really care for that much for J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
When J.D. Vance started screaming at Zelensky, I lost all respect for him.
Yeah, that was really disrespectful. That made us look really bad on the international stage, especially because he asked if Zelensky had thanked us, and then somebody put together a supercut of Zelensky thanking the Americans, government and people, 30 times in a row, because yes, he's thanked us many times for our help. Because Zelensky's doing a good job being the leader of a country that's in a really terrible situation, and we're disrespecting him, and for clout in the Oval Office, and that's reprehensible. Which is why I'm not excited about J.D. Vance being president either. But if we impeach Trump, which it's not super likely for him to get convicted for some reasons that I discussed earlier in the show, but it's still important that people are outspoken. It's still important that these politicians think about it from this extra peel the onion back layer thing, where a moment ago I was saying, what can we do? We can go raise hell for our elected representatives who are refusing to hold him accountable. Think about the fact that each one of those people in our elected government are guilty of a similar crime, protecting sex criminals. Donald Trump and others. That's never mind the president. That's a problem for the state you live in. That's a problem for the city you live in. That's a problem for the congressional district that you live in. There are people who are voting on policy who are willing to look at a conversation like the one that you and I are having. Like somebody Tom Emmer, who's a total Republican piece of shit, who's from my state. He could look at this conversation and be like, nope, Trump's my guy. And a big number of people in the government feel that way. The way that you yourself just said that you couldn't with your heart feel okay feeling. Like you've got too much of a heart to be on the wrong side of this. Never mind the party, just this particular issue about sex crimes. An enormous number of our elected representatives are on the wrong side of this. That's an emergency, and you should talk about it. You should be loud about it.
Yeah, and it can't feel good for those that did vote for him. You know, they really play it off well. It can't feel that good, because the reason I was on the fence to begin with is just January 6th was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely terrible.
That's another example where, you know, like here we are sitting at the end of the line for Trump on the E. Jean Carroll case and made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and it has been rejected. They didn't even look at it. And a similar thing happened with the 2020 election. We have to be a little careful exactly the details of it that we talk about, because TikTok TOS gets a little squirrely on election stuff. But he fought it really hard, and he didn't win any court cases about it. All these appeals, hundreds of cases, all these different attempts to go after all these individual voting districts, all these individual state election programs, all these things that he tried to do by installing some electors who maybe weren't the right ones to just disagree with what the results from We the People were. Like, he fought it all the way to the top and lost. And because he lost, that's why January 6th happened. What happens to women now that he's lost this case?
I mean, hopefully they feel vindicated. The victims, get justice. But it's going to be tough. He's the president.
E. Jean Carroll's going through it. She's been a punching bag for the right for a long time now, for years. I really feel for her. I don't think she's going to.
Is she going to get the 80 million or whatever? Didn't she win some money at least? I mean, I know that doesn't make up.
No, it doesn't. I mean, she's 80, and I think they made it 5 million, so she'll have money, but that's fine. But like, I would be afraid to walk down the street if I was E. Jean Carroll. And I mean, think about the fact that she's living in a country. I don't know if she's still living in the United States. I wouldn't blame her if she wasn't, because why would she want to live in a country that's being run by the person who raped her?
I mean, yeah, it's. I didn't expect. I mean, so for the record, I didn't expect this conversation to go down that route. It's a tough subject. So I mean, I wasn't really equipped for this. So I apologize for my inability to be sensitive, or if my tone was off.
You've got, I'm just, I took some issue with some of your approaches to the beginning of this. I co-signed some of the things that the chat said, but in this moment, I
was caught by surprise.
In this moment, you have nothing to apologize for. You're being more intellectually honest than anybody else who's called in to talk about this with me today. You're recognizing that it's really important, this ruling. Or again, I keep calling it a ruling because we talk about Supreme Court rulings. It's not even a ruling because they didn't recognize it as substantive enough to rule on. They just threw it out. Because, like I said, we had a lawyer come up and explain earlier, W. Law of the Wild. He said that he educated me about something I didn't know, which is that to get an appeal seen by the Supreme Court, 4 of the 9 justices have to agree that it's worth looking at. He couldn't get 4, and he appointed 3 of them.
Yeah, well, I find it tough to vote for Democrats sometimes too, but that's another story.
You know what? I agree with you. I'm highly critical of establishment Democrats. There are big problems that are being solved by no party in this country. A lot of the treatment of like a lot of foreign affairs are issues where both parties are kind of pretty evil, what we've been doing in the Middle East for decades. There's lots of problems that like people have with capitalism that aren't being addressed by either party. But the fact of the matter is that we've got one party that's working really hard to protect some people who've committed a bunch of sex crimes. We're talking about women today. We could also talk about children. But we don't need to open the Epstein files can of worms unless you've got the stamina for it. And that party is also promoting a bunch of other bad stuff that I'm really concerned about that we haven't talked about. So if you want to make progress on the sorts of things that you are concerned about that both parties are failing on, I can't understand how it's not abundantly obvious to everybody that we gotta elect some people who are not going to be on the wrong side of this in November. And right now, across the board, that's pretty much the Democrats, even if that's the lesser of two evils.
I really think that Democrats lately have just swept the immigration issue under the rug, or they just put it on the back burner, and then by the time they do anything about it, like, okay, in 2016 wasn't immigration huge? Like when Trump first won, it was huge, right?
Well,
I
don't understand. In 2016, we just finished 8 years of having Obama as president, and Obama had a really impressive deportation record. If we're going to talk from a Republican perspective of wanting to deport these people,
but what about not deportation? Okay, yes, you're right, correct. But I'm talking about like reform legislation, like immigration reform. During Joe Biden, I just
solved it. Yeah, it's a problem. That
I was really displeased with the immigration reform under Joe Biden. Do you want to know why?
I have a question first.
Yeah.
There's only one meaningful thing that Donald Trump tried to do. Was it the Langford bill? Somebody in the chat surely knows. Name the bill. Forgive me for not knowing off the top of the head the name of the bill. But the Biden administration pushed bipartisan border infrastructure. And Trump, who wasn't president, who didn't hold elective office, because he's the seat of the center of this cult of personality in the Republican Party, he just instructed the Republicans who were voting on it to vote against it. So Trump shot down Biden's attempts to address the border.
But couldn't. So I think so. If I was Biden, I would have put this up day one. Like, this would have been one of my top priorities. Why'd he wait till the fourth quarter, last minute, to take a shot?
Because it's really hard to get bipartisan border infrastructure or border bills passed, because you have to get the Republicans to agree with the Democrats. So it's politically difficult and it takes time.
Wouldn't it have been easier? Yeah, in the first two years of the Biden administration, couldn't they have passed it through easier? Didn't they have more strength in Congress at that point? Couldn't they have gotten something through? Why didn't they?
I mean, they didn't have the votes.
Oh, didn't they control? When Biden got in, didn't they have like higher representation in the Senate or something or whatever?
I don't recall off the top of my head what the split was between the first half and second half of Biden's.
I thought they did.
Midterms.
Kamala would have been the tiebreaker, I thought.
My point is he tried.
Sorry, Kamala.
My point is that he tried Langford, by the way. I mispronounced it. He tried, and he failed, and we could sit here and talk about the rat's nest of reasons why he failed, when most of the reason is because the Republicans voted against it. Are we going to argue about the handful of Democrats that he failed to convince on earlier iterations of the bill, if that's what happened? I'm speculating. I don't remember the exact history on that one personally. Maybe somebody can hop up and explain it. But again, we have a party where almost the entire party is doing the bad thing, and you're looking at this other party and saying, why did a handful of them fail to vote for this thing or that thing? Why?
But I think one party should highlight... I think one party highlights what, like, for example, like, I really think Democrats need to solve this immigration thing, man.
Midwest Progressive in the chat's a trusted party. He's one of my fact checkers. He's saying that Biden did introduce a bill on day one. He tried. Why are we talking about?
Did he have any executive? Did he have executive orders like regarding amnesty or whatever?
He tried. I recognize that immigration is a problem. I want a very catastrophic solution to the immigration problem, because I recognize that the immigration problem is a big one. We shouldn't have 12 million undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants or whatever we're supposed to call them, because calling them undocumented doesn't quite cover it, because a bunch of illegal immigrants are documented because they've overstayed their visas, which makes them documented but not legal residents. It's hairy. My point is, it's about 12 million of them. That's a problem. I want to address that. I
just don't see it.
What do you mean you don't see it? What don't you see?
I don't see. I see Republicans putting immigration like at the top of their list, but I just don't see Democrats.
Well, okay.
I hope. Here's my hope for the future. Forget the past.
I have an answer for you.
Fuck it.
I have an answer for you. Hold on. Which is that I know you're getting to something, but I want to jump in and I want to say that the reason that the Democrats don't have immigration at the top of their list is because it shouldn't belong at the top of the list. It's a big problem, but we've got lots of big problems, and there's just no evidence to suggest that to the everyday American what's going on with immigration is this like frantic an emergency. There's no crime wave caused by them. That's fucking made up. It's a nonsense rumor. It's made up. I'm sorry. The data just.
I disagree.
I think I've earned some trust with you when I tell you that every data analysis of the criminality of illegal immigrants, if we accept the fact that, like, yes, they're all criminals because they're illegal immigrants, but if like other crimes than that, they're less likely to commit crimes of all kinds. These are people who don't want to get in trouble and deported, so they commit fewer property crimes, even if they're living in poverty, because poverty is what causes people to commit property crimes generally. Crimes of passion, things like domestic violence and rapes and stuff like that, they still do those sorts of things, but to a lesser degree than citizens. That's what the data suggests. Are you going to suggest to me otherwise?
I don't think. Look, the criminal thing. I don't want to go down that road yet. I think that
we can go down that road in a minute, but we can talk about the economy. We can talk about all these things.
Economy. I think they're being farmed to prop up Social Security. I think they're being farmed by the American people to prop up Social Security.
It would be bad for Social Security if we deported all of them. So I recognize the argument there. But the people who want them to stay, like me, want them to be eligible for Social Security because
I want them to stay.
I'm sorry. Are you a Democrat or a Republican?
I would say I'm like independent, but listen, I want them to stay because here's why. They are propping up Social Security, first of all. So there's something to say there.
Yeah, well, yeah, the problem that I have with that is that
we have to give them something in return. Well, amnesty. I think so. That's what I don't understand. Why can't we fast track? It should be simple. It should be. Other countries are making us look bad. I mean, they're able to handle, immigration in our country takes 20 years to get in. Good people that have worked.
Let me just say what I think is going on.
So why is our system so screwed? That's it, man. That's all I'm trying to say. Why can't good people get in, and why can't criminals get out? That's it. It's that simple.
I need you to listen. I think that you've been convinced that people on the left want something less reasonable than we do because you just gave a description of what I want that I would be willing to co-sign. You agree with me on immigration.
Yeah, I think it's a net positive, but I think that they're being used by both sides. I feel like immigrants are being used by both sides in different ways, like economically,
really you're skating past
dogmatically.
The point that you just laid out what you want, and it's what one of the two sides want, and it's what the Democrats.
I feel like they're just bullshitting, and they're not actually helping these people. They're just using them, for their own means.
Ironically, it's the Republicans and the wealthy that are doing that sort of thing by abusing their labor.
Yeah, well, I just sometimes the Democrats ballot harvest. Well, they harvest. Well,
okay, yeah, you're doing. I
don't know. I guess immigrants can't vote.
You're doing a little. Yeah, they can't vote, so the ballot harvesting thing doesn't apply to this particular.
But that's
you're playing a little bit of Gish Gallop whack-a-mole with the talking points because you caught yourself. Ballot harvesting has nothing to do with illegal immigrants.
They're appealing. So the Democrats are appealing to pro-immigration voters. Is what I mean to say. But I just don't see it. I just don't see that they're doing enough. Like they try, but I don't see the win. You know what I mean? I don't see the wins.
Okay, so why vote?
I don't see the W, man.
Why? Yeah, but why vote for the party that's not even trying?
I mean, they made a lot of claims. Okay, I know that. Okay, everybody always says the same thing. Like you knew what Trump was going to do. Like because I obviously agree with your flag. Okay. But people will tell me, okay, then why the heck did you vote for Trump if you don't want to abolish? He said what he was going to do.
Hold on. I need to give you a moment to think, and I need to give myself a moment to thank my donors because some have rolled in, and I just want you to spend the time that I'm reading the donations thinking about the fact that you've got a lot of talking points. You've got a lot of buzzwords about performance on the left and the right. But the simple fact of the matter is that it does seem that what you want for the country is in alignment with the Democrats. And that's probably a good reason to want to vote for them, especially in consideration of the previous conversation we had where you recognized that the Republicans are doing some really evil stuff regarding sex crimes. So I just want you to stew on that for a moment. Don't respond. Just think about it for a second. I want you to ruminate on that while I read the donations. Because Lucky Phil is sending me some donations on Buy Me a Coffee. He pointed out from earlier that I'm a thespian. Dude, happy Pride Month. Yeah. Well, just because I'm a theater kid doesn't mean I'm a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, but I do agree with both your statements. And then he also added Dictator is the name of my Ween cover band. Dick, like the short name, and Tater, like tater tots. Dictator. Thank you, Lucky Phil. I appreciate you. Over on Venmo, I think we've got a couple to read. Forgive me, I don't remember how far back we got. Did we read Matt's? He said, "Love when my fellow creators have this energy." I think he did. I think that that's maybe politics with Matt. I appreciate you. David, is this a new one? This dude just demonstrated he is an apologist. I think he might have been talking about you before we made some progress. So I'm sorry, but David, I think was right when he said that. But we kind of covered that already. And I do appreciate you listening. And then over on YouTube Super Chat, we had a couple. If we go to fan funding, What did we have here? Would you accept fan art pieces? Yes, we talked about that. The rape happened before he was president, Big Dog. Talking to the previous guest. Thank you, Sack Boss, for the $2 on YouTube Super Chat. And Cordova Lab sent $5 to say first half was 50-50 and you need 60 votes because of the filibuster, which is almost as much of a bitch as David. That one's an inside joke, so I appreciate you for that. And Amanda sent me $10 to say happy to find a fellow Minnesotan debating for the good guys. I'm from Duluth. W's in the chat for Amanda. W's in the chat for Duluth, because I do really like Duluth. How you doing, Luke?
I'm all right.
It's heavy shit. Like, I know. I just think that I genuinely believe, this is just me talking to you, like, my assessment from talking to you, from talking to people every day about this. You're a very special type of caller, because a lot of my callers are monstrous. Just absolute sickos. I think you are. Yeah. I think maybe you said some reprehensible things because I think you were on guard about what the opposition is. But sitting here talking to me, it sounds to me like you and me agree about pretty much everything. You've just really got your guard up.
Yeah, because I was kind of thrown off by the direction of the conversation. I didn't expect that to be the first talking point. But I mean, that is a sore spot. I admit that's probably the weakest. Trump's treatment towards women is probably the biggest Achilles heel he has going for him. So I mean,
I actually don't even think that's true.
As a character-wise, like when you just not like ability. I'm just talking about who he is as a person.
I think it's not women that his treatment of is the biggest problem. I think it's children. But we haven't gotten there. I said we didn't need to open that.
I mean,
worms.
Sure. Okay, humans. The way he treats humans and women and children, because he does treat people like shit. I agree. I mean, he's a classist, right? Or whatever you say. Like you know what I mean? He's a classist. I feel like he looks down on poor people.
Well, and think about that. You just said that he's a classist. Think about if a person, how much money does Trump have? What's his net worth? Do you know off the top of your head?
Not really, but they're all rich. I know that's a cop-out.
It's not. They're all rich. He's richer than a lot of them. It's $5 to $10 billion. I don't know what it's like, 6 or 8 or something right now. It's a big number.
But they all have fuck you money. I mean,
no.
So am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you can. You can curse on my show. It's an adult program. But you're missing my point. My point's more grand than that. He's classist. He looks down at people who are a lower class than him, right?
Yeah.
He has $5 billion. What percentage of the country is below him in that sense?
99.
99.999, right? Like almost all of us.
Yeah, I forgot the points.
There are 700 billionaires in the world. There's less than 1,000 people that are higher class than Trump by that measure, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about somebody who looks down on almost everybody. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Except for some noteworthy counterexamples. People like Elon Musk, people like Jeff Bezos, people like Mark Zuckerberg, who are themselves supervillains.
I have a question to pose to you, and I've asked this on other panels. How would you compare maybe just his first term, Trump's first term, to George W. Bush? Like, who was better?
George Bush.
Yeah, I think that's usually the answer among. Not to call you a leftist, but most.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a really left-leaning liberal. The thing I say when asked directly if I'm a leftist or a liberal is that the liberals think I'm a leftist and the leftists think I'm a liberal. And in reality, the line's a little blurry, and I'm trying to navigate that blurry territory on this show.
But you had to think a little bit.
But yeah, I did have to think about it because
most people it's just right away.
Here's what went through my head while I was thinking about it. If Trump had started the war in Iran during his first term, I would have said it with confidence. But because he didn't, I had to weigh the fact that Trump didn't start such a war in his first term. He did in his second, so we're not really absolving him of that. But you wanted me to compare specifically Trump's first term to Bush's first term, and Bush did start those wars. Which I'm a 9/11 victim. I grew up in Manhattan. I'm really closely connected to it. I don't need to give you all the details, but it's like important in my life. So like I recognize that we made a lot of mistakes because of what happened on 9/11, and Bush was in control.
Yeah.
The other thing that comes up about this, that I would say the reason that Trump is worse, even though he didn't start such a war, because we can compare the war in Iran to the war in the Middle East that Bush started, but that didn't happen during Trump's first term. But during Trump's first term, we had a different problem than we currently have, which is that Trump was incompetent. Right now, there exists a system, an administration, a cabinet, and the Heritage Foundation working together with that administration and all those corrupt Republicans we've been talking about in Congress to achieve the policy positions of Project 25. There's this juggernaut of Republican competency that they have had 8 years to develop in time for January 2025, when the first executive orders started flying in Trump's second term. During Trump's first term, half the party didn't even think he was going to win because he was a fucking joke candidate. They thought that they'd handed the election to the Democrats by running a buffoon. So when he won, there was a scramble to figure out how to create that machine, which is why if we look at the turnover in his administration, there's much less of it now. He scapegoats and fires somebody every now and again, but for the most part, just in the fascistic way that they do. Fire Kristi Noem for violating people's civil rights with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Something like that was happening once a week during Trump's first administration, but it was due to incompetency. It's a problem that Trump's administration is now competently doing these things that I consider to be so terrible.
Yeah, I think there was a learning curve on his first, for sure, on his first term.
Yeah, his administration, and, his staffers were leaking things about it. They were complaining about how, like, the guy doesn't know who the president of this or that country is. They're having to school him on meetings that he's supposed to have as president. Like, he didn't know what he was doing. And that's not so much true anymore. I think he's a buffoon. I think he's incompetent. I don't think he's qualified to be president. But, like, he's learned his civics. People like Destiny like to say that Trump couldn't tell you the three branches of the government. Yes, he could. He's president for the second time. Yes, Trump knows the basic civics. Trump has a better than average list of world leaders' names in his head. That wasn't true when he took office the first time, and that's why his first administration was so different than the second one. And they had this practice run to see how badly it would go, and then they had 4 years while Biden was president to prepare a more bulletproof system to get these nonsensical policies to the forefront. Trump doesn't care about the nonsensical policies. Trump is an ailing 80-year-old. He only cares who's committed a lot of crimes, as we've discussed. He only cares about keeping himself out of prison until he dies. I'm convinced of that. I think he cares about giving some money to his family and some other corrupt stuff, but like, he doesn't give half a shit what happens in American politics, which is why he has teamed up with his cabinet and with the Republicans in Congress and with the Heritage Foundation. They have bigger dreams. They want America to collapse and become a white Christian ethno-state. That's what I'm worried about. Trump is going to die. I'll have a pour of whiskey and go about my day and think, tomorrow's show is going to be interesting. It doesn't actually change anything because that machine is what's now in control. So when I urge somebody like you to vote in November and vote blue, even though I kind of fucking hate Team Blue also, but like, I say that Team Blue is important. It's bigger than Trump. It's an emergency in American politics that there's been this system organized to take advantage of this narcissistic asshole at the center of this cult of personality. They have teamed up with him out of mutual benefit. Trump gets to stay out of prison until he dies. He gets to enrich his family and his friends. That's the only thing he cares about. I have never, ever seen him do anything that convinces me that he cares about America or the American people. And you said it yourself, because he only cares about people who are of his class and higher. And we established that in America, that's a 2-digit number of people.
I mean, I don't even know if he has a choice. I think that's just, he was bred that way. Like, that's just his conditioning. He's just in
bred and conditioning.
He's in the aristocrats.
Bred and conditioning are opposites. I'm not going to get into that rat's nest. But what I'm going to say is that my point is that your assessment of his character doesn't fucking matter. Democracy's in danger.
Yeah. So like, okay, so I come from California, right? So we have Gavin Newsom.
Not my favorite Democrat.
Is he gonna? Huh?
Not my favorite Democrat, but he'll vote for an impeachment. He'll vote for an impeachment.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta let you know, I would.
He's a governor. He doesn't vote on impeachment. But if he became you know what I mean. He's on the right team in terms of that stuff.
Look, his ability to speak, his ability to debate is like. Did you see the Ron DeSantis debate between him and, Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis?
I didn't know.
Go back and watch it. He wipes the floor with him. It's just not even close. Like
who wipes the floor?
Gavin Newsom wipes the floor with Ron DeSantis.
He's erudite. Yeah,
basically
he's articulate. There's technical skills that I have from running this show. I can look at somebody like Gavin Newsom and go, "Yep, he's got them too. He's good at yapping."
So he basically put, and I mean, that's what it takes now. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I mean, that's how Trump won, yapping, in my opinion.
But so the chat on YouTube is pointing out that you're kind of a vibes voter, like you're voting on vibes. And what I'm pointing out is that they've used the vibes, like Trump's vibes were effective on a big voting block. So the Republicans took advantage of that in the way that I described to have this plan that's much bigger than Trump's, dynasty or whatever it's going to be. And all I'm saying is we need to have less people voting on vibes, which is why, I sit here and talk to people like you and try to convince you not to vote on vibes.
So yeah, the other day I agree. I read Kamala Harris's qualifications to my MAGA mother, and she thought it was fake news or something. Like, she has so much experience. She's infinitely more qualified to. Sorry about that alarm.
It's okay.
She's infinitely more qualified to probably be in a position as, seeing that she's been the vice president, everything she's done in her long career. And it just goes in one ear, out the other. So I do understand that,
and in the whole vibes thing, in 2024,
I'm not down for vibes. All right.
Good. Because in 2024, we can say she was just vice president, he was just president before that. He did a shitty job, like I just described, and she did a perfectly fine job. She passed more tie-breaking votes in Congress than any other vice president ever has before. The Biden administration got a lot of legislative work done.
I think it's a little easier in hindsight to say Trump did a shitty job today because just all the things.
Oh, but we're talking about 2024 context, and what the context of the first Trump presidency was 4 years in the past already in 2024. So no, I reject that. I think it was reasonable to say, with what hindsight was available in 2024, that there was a wide gap in qualifications, even though Trump had been president. He behaved as a buffoon as president. People talk about Biden accidentally having some classified documents. Let me talk about that for a second, just to pick your brain further. Biden had some classified documents in his residence that he turned over just so he wouldn't get in trouble for him. And it was okay, yeah, lots of stuff on the president's desk is classified. His schedule for the day is classified. It becomes not so important what his schedule is on the very next day, because it stops being a security risk to know where he was yesterday as opposed to where he's going to be later today. And that's the sort of okay, yeah, it's probably pretty hard to have a bunch of documents in your house as a person who is president and not be whoopsie daisy, this one's technically classified. So he was transparent with it. Whereas Trump is incompetent. He did a thing, I think this was during his first term, where he showed a satellite image to the press in the Oval Office that let the world know just how good our spy satellites are, because the world didn't know. And I recognize the operational security of keeping that technology secret. As a patriot, I value that we have technology that the people and the public generally doesn't know about, because it gives us control over our enemies that they don't know that we have. And Trump, to brag about it was we were looking at some country's missile program or something, might have been Iran, I don't know, but he made the oopsie of just holding up this piece of paper instead of letting the people whose job it is to keep those secrets safe blur it so that the public doesn't know how good the resolution of our spy satellites is. That's the Republicans like to call that the same thing as what I just described Biden doing, when it so obviously isn't. It's so obviously a different caliber of incompetent to have a box of documents somewhere at your home office versus him showing this current events relating to current warfare document to the public. Those are just examples, but it's a widespread thing. So when you say that you're a fence sitter, I kind of sit here and say, dude, how? How is any of this up for debate?
So do you think that what did you think of his management of the pandemic, Trump, and Project Warp Speed?
Project Warp Speed was good. I credit him for doing that often, but I like to also point out, especially in a conversation like this one, that I think that Project Warp Speed is something that any sitting U.S. president would have done. Separately, given that I think any president would have done that, it was the reasonable thing to do. Everything else he did was really bad. The messaging was really bad. I believe truly that people died because he said, oh, wear a mask and not wear a mask, when if he had just said, hey, I'm the president and I trust the doctors, you guys should really wear masks. We think that's going to help slow the spread. That's going to help prevent the systems from being overwhelmed. There are people who took their elderly relatives to the hospital with COVID, and the hospital said, we don't have enough ventilators because people got sick with COVID too quickly. When we said slow the spread, we had this big spike in people who got COVID, and only so many ventilators and other things that we needed. But I'm using ventilators as an example. And I believe truly that there are people who got turned away in that ICU because they didn't have enough ventilators, because we spread the disease too quickly, because people weren't listening to Fauci and they were listening to Trump, who was spreading bad information. People died because they didn't get ventilators. That spike being too high meant that places ran out of equipment to help keep people alive while their bodies fought the disease. And the blood of those individuals is on Donald Trump's hands. I'm not talking about some wishy-washy policy position. I'm saying tons of Americans died because of his guidance. That's his performance on COVID.
It's funny that you mentioned ventilators. Using that as a treatment, isn't the success rate very low? Like once a person's placed on a ventilator, isn't it like very low? Like the chances of them recovering.
It's like CPR. CPR doesn't save most people. If a person is having CPR performed on them, it's probably the end for them. A lot of people don't come back from it. What we're saying is he created a situation where there weren't enough lifeguards at the beach to even try CPR on them. Imagine sitting there with your loved one, not knowing how to do CPR yourself, to make my analogy work, saying, help, I need a lifeguard. Somebody please do CPR on my wife. But no, the lifeguards are busy doing CPR on other people because Donald Trump caused everybody to drown faster than they otherwise would have.
Yeah, well, that's scary.
It's very scary, yeah. and I recognized that then, all those years ago, which is why I was so scared when he became president again, because I thought if we have a real problem in this country, if we get attacked, if we have another 9/11, he's not going to handle this reasonably. He's going to do things that are terrible and scary for everyday people, and I recognize the gravity of that. Because I know some people who died in COVID. I have some connections to these things, so I can speak a little bit from the heart and say that I'm grievously concerned about the path forward, whether he's in charge of it or not, because when he goes, however he goes, he'll be replaced by somebody who's going to keep doing what I said, represent the policy positions of Project 2025 and the corrupt Republicans in Congress who are loyal to that plan instead of the Constitution. It's scary shit, man. Can't have this dude in office, and we can't have for the second half of his office, because it's not likely for us to get an impeachment conviction and have him removed, but we can neuter his capability of president by taking control of the legislative branch back. That is something that is in the toolbox for we, the American people, who want to defend what it says in the Constitution, that we, the people, in order to build a more perfect union, establish this government to promote the public welfare. I paraphrased it, but that's what the preamble of the Constitution says. Telling people not to use masks in spring of 2020 is not promoting the public welfare.
So are you leaning more towards like this new democratic socialist of America type mindset?
In the context
philosophy?
In the context of American politics, I identify as a democratic socialist because it's the closest thing to my ethical, philosophical perspective on politics that I have. Mm-hmm. The Phil Bros, like the kinds I've had on the show today, would point out that that's not, according to a philosopher, what a democratic socialist is. Bernie Sanders kind of mixed this up, because a philosopher would call these policies social democrats instead of democratic socialists. So unless you're really nuanced on all the definitions, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's the neck of the woods, because that's the farthest left establishment component of the Democratic Party that we have. And that's a part of the party that over time, through elections, we can grow. And that's why we have ranked choice voting in New York. That's why we have somebody with those sorts of beliefs as mayor of New York, which being mayor of New York is a more valuable position than being governor of most of the states in the union. So like, let's not pretend that being mayor of New York is fucking anything to sneeze at. There are policies that can make it more likely for the political outcomes in this country to reflect what I value, because it sounds to me like you kind of understand and care about my values. Sounds like you and I are in alignment a lot on values. And the Democrats aren't going to fix everything in the midterms. They're not, even if we sweep the next presidential election and, get three branch control and the establishment Democrats aren't going to fix all of this. But that small component of them that believe in the sorts of things that I believe in, that percentage can continue to grow. And the people who are supporting their political movements won't be in jail. And that's good for future. That's good for 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. I'm so excited about what we can do in American politics in the next 10, 20, 30 years if we allow that slice to grow, if we allow ranked choice voting, some more third-party ideologies, which a lot of people consider being a democratic socialist to not be an established Democrat. That's like being an independent or something. That's like voting third party. Well, ranked choice voting lets us do that. That can happen, but being on the other team is a problem right now, because if you want that sort of stuff to happen in American politics, you might find yourself in a jail cell after the midterms if the Republicans win. I'm concerned about that. Don't laugh. A bunch of my friends were arrested by the FBI last week for doing constitutionally protected ICE observations. It's real. It's happening.
That's why when you mentioned hold up the sign with the R word on it, it made me think of that. It made me think of like the way people can be persecuted by the government right now for going against the president.
They can't arrest all of us. They can arrest some of us. And that is why we, the few, are begging you, the many, to like join sides with us and be in this thing to protect democracy.
Or they can strip you of your monetary support. Like they can take your job.
Whatever it is they're doing, they can't get all of us. It shouldn't be left versus right. So it should be top versus bottom. It should be we the people versus the billionaire class versus these assholes in Project 2025 and in Congress. Like it's like 10,000 people who are on my shit list in this country. It's the rest of us versus them. And if you go out to a protest and you go stand on that street corner, you might make somebody else more comfortable to do it, which is why I so value people getting out there and doing it. It's why I was so impressed at No Kings 3 when I saw a crowd of, they couldn't even estimate it accurately. It was such a big crowd. I've heard numbers from 100,000 to 200,000, and I've been to some music festivals. I think those estimates are accurate. We had like something like that, 150,000 people on the grounds of the state capitol here in Minnesota, because we had the flagship rally for No Kings to address this shit, and it was more people than I've ever seen before in my life. It's powerful. I want you to experience that, because it should be we the people versus these assholes at the top.
Yeah, some of those Trump rallies are freaking scary. Just the ones that are in like, not to be judgy, but like the Deep South, and they're just like completely partisan, and there's lots of, Southern flags that don't exist anymore of a certain flavor being flown.
I guess what I'm telling you, maybe I
could not see myself in that crowd.
Maybe I hate to like fearmonger in this way, but I do think that we should be a little bit fearful of what's going on. I think we should be very fearful of what's going on. Sounds to me like the building's on fire and you don't want to grab the fire extinguisher because you're afraid of getting your knuckles burned.
Yeah. Okay. So, I hear you on that.
Because I'm not asking you to go chase ICE agents. I'm not asking you to do anything that's very likely to get you landed in prison. I'm not asking you to become a target of death threats and federal investigations like me and my friends have to for being like bigger voices in this thing. It's a little scary having 180,000 followers when you're on the left right now. I know that this might end with me in a prison cell. I know that this might end with holes poked in me while I lay on the pavement. Like I'm okay with that. I'm resigned to that. When ICE came here and started terrorizing my neighborhood, I live in Minneapolis, by the way. I'm a neighbor of Alex Preddy's and Renee Goods.
Oh, wow.
I resigned myself to the fact that I might die for this, and I'm really glad I did that facing up with the federal government in my own neighborhood, because when Twitter came after me and when people started threatening me online, I was kind of already jaded to it, because I decided for myself that I recognize that this is all so much more important than me, and I do have a skill set that makes me valuable to this movement. Happens not to be chasing ICE agents. I'm way better at yapping. My superpower, yapping. So here I am yapping. Still puts me in danger, still puts a target on my back. We've seen political violence in the last 12 months against people who yap. I think you know who I'm talking about. I'm on the other team, but like, it's a dangerous sport I'm playing, and all I'm asking you to do is be a spectator. Root for the team.
Well, so one thing is like, if you're a part of a team, it's good to understand like the direction that the team is moving in. So if we don't have time today, I'd like to call in and ask more about just a little bit more about like your opinion or just some questions about socialism.
Yeah.
You have time right now, or?
Yeah. I can keep talking a little longer. I'll tell you what, we're at 3 hours, and I normally only go 2. Today was just kind of a hot show and I wanted to keep going. We can spend 10 or so minutes on that, but I'm going to wrap with you, and I would love for you to call in the future, because you're the type of caller I can get to. You sound reasonable.
Yeah. Thank you.
I disagree with some of the stuff you said. Some of the accusations the chat gave you, I think were apt. I don't think you're a lost cause, whereas the chat is quick to condemn people who believe those things, because a lot of people who believe them are lost causes. I don't think you are. I think if...
Well, like I said, I have a MAGA mother that pulls on my heartstrings. Like, with chains, not just regular strings, you know. So
and that's difficult. It's hard to
tough.
overcome. I don't know what that's like. I grew up in a super progressive place. I grew up in Manhattan. I've gotten closer with my extended family because of my new job, because they find me online and like text me and stuff. Like it's not been an issue for me. So I really feel for you there. And I know there's grief around that. It's hard to square up with the fact that all this stuff becomes so real when you bring it home to the dinner table. But it is real. The house is on fire.
So things like immigration and just a few other things, like maybe character issues with Trump and just backtracking on promises this term, kind of like that's how I get into arguments with now I sound like the movie Psycho with my mother. I'm just kidding, mother. But that you know, a lot of the arguments I get into people with is just, you know, we have a president that just didn't follow through and just isn't, and you know, it's completely evangelical supporting him. You know, my mom is one of them. And so that's where it always ends up like I feel like they're under a spell of
what you're identifying is that the sorts of arguments that have been effective on you, because I've gotten you to concede on some stuff, I've made some arguments that are effective on you. There are a big group of people for whom those arguments are simply not going to be effective. But the fact of the matter is that the true patriots in this country, the people who believe in the Constitution and the rule of law and who really want this to be solved in the way that I'm trying to solve it, we do outnumber the lost causes. That's clear. It's like a 2/3 versus a third. We will win. The only thing that will cause us to lose is apathy from people like yourself, who are maybe closer to the middle than I am. If it's team good versus team bad, if we're fighting for evil versus good in America in 2026, don't be so apathetic about how much you don't like the optics of team good, such that you do nothing and let team evil win.
Yeah, anyone that has a MAGA mother knows that, or MAGA family members that they have to deal with, understands, like I don't know, like that's why, like, so talking to them and then talking to certain people like on the far left or just whoever, like one time I was at a yard sale and I mentioned that like I was like gonna vote for Trump, and I got kicked out of the yard sale by like, she was a leftist, like a Hillary supporter, right? Just for saying, like, I was just being casual.
Well, okay,
like, oh yeah, you know, let's make America great. This was back in 2015.
I hear you.
I'm like,
I just want to point out something you said though, which is that a leftist isn't a Hillary supporter. Those are very different camps.
Okay, sorry.
Which I don't want to derail you completely for the term thing. I just want to say that there's this division and labeling issue, and it's bad that you got kicked out. I mean, I don't know. It's a private garage.
Do you see
maybe it's not bad that they kicked you out, but it's not important.
So did I get blackpilled?
Blackpilled
into Trump then by getting kicked out of that garage sale? Or am I getting that term wrong?
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and so then I was like, wow, like I was just being casual. I think I said something like, maybe Trump will make America great again. I said, and that was like back before anybody knew anything. It was like 2015 or something. And then she's like, get out of my garage sale. And I'm like, but I already gave you money for this item. And then she's like, deal with my husband. And then I'm like, oh shit. Like, I know this is anecdotal, but it was just like that kind of like made me feel like, damn, like these people mean business, like, and that's why I voted Trump, like the first time. Like I was like, damn.
And you experienced a little bit of that when you arrived on my show, because the chat was mad at you for some of the things that you said, right?
Yeah, but so then like that pushed me one way, and then like that's just like my life. Like, well, I come into contact, I have experiences.
In defense of the person running the yard sale, and in defense of my chat, I think I've laid out in this conversation with you that people have good reason to be pissed.
Back then in 2015 though, like
maybe
no one even
that was a long time ago.
All we knew is that he said some shit about Rosie O'Donnell. Well, that's all we knew back then.
That's not all we knew. I'm a New Yorker. New Yorker was in New York back then.
I'm not. I'm California, man.
Right. So what I'm saying that back in 2015, I already knew Trump to be a crooked local celebrity. Like he was already a shitbag in my world because he just was a locally famous rich shitbag. So when we learned, the locally famous rich shitbag who's on reality TV and stuff is running for president, I can admit that as a 20-year-old, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be funny if he won? Oh my God. But of course, by the time to vote, like I'd never actually vote for the guy because I'm more responsible than that. And maybe she had that little inner core of responsibility that I was privileged enough to grow up with an upbringing and education that delivered to me, which is that when it came time to vote, I was like, fucking, of course, I'm not going to fucking vote for the guy. I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary in New York. I'm proud of that vote. Didn't even vote for Hillary. He was young enough to be president back then, by modern standards anyway. But again, like, you can be upset about all that, but recognize that tensions are high. People are dying. People are getting raped.
Yeah.
People are watching their rapists be powerful and successful, not just locally, but on the world stage. There are people who've been raped by Donald Trump who have to watch his ass on television when there's a State of the Union. People are upset.
Yeah, so
let people be upset, but listen to the reason. And it sounds to me like if you listen to the reason, you know what's going on.
Yeah. During Obama, that whole socialism beast was like unleashed. Like, oh, he's a socialist, and like I know that. Like, I know now, so I kind of got blackpilled on that too. Like, oh yeah, he's a total this. He's a moderate. I mean, we know now he's a moderate. He was a moderate, right? Obama was pretty much.
Yeah, he's one of those establishment Democrats I was just shit talking.
Yeah. So it's like I can like look back and be like, oh, like I was totally fed a bunch of propaganda that was probably paid. Like, they probably spent millions pushing all this stuff about Obama that wasn't true. And like, yeah, somebody mentioned the birth certificate, like all that was nonsense, and
but you admit that's all nonsense, and I don't want it to get more airtime on my show, because what matters is that the rapists lose the midterm.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that can be the closing note for the show. I'd love for you to call back.
Okay, I'll call in again about socialism. I wanted to know a little bit more about some things. I'll call in some other. I'll request up later on. Appreciate you.
10 to 12 Central Time. I usually don't run this long, but I appreciate the follow, and I really do appreciate the conversation.
All right. Thank you.
W's Luke for opening up, because that was kind of a what a fucking show we've had. Oh, thank you for the Night Star. Thank you for the gifts over on YouTube. Tuesday, Milk Sucks, and Tuesday again. We're sending me Flow State and Happy Pride. I appreciate you guys. I just didn't want to interrupt that more somber, chill conversation. No song today, Joey. I was yelling. And also, I think I'm stripping the setup tonight. This might be what I do. I don't know. I got to make good use of the time with producer Jesse coming over. We're going to work on some stuff, but I really am trying to completely redo the hardware setup for audio. I know YouTube is complaining about mic levels and stuff. I want to get this shit dialed. And if you support the effort of me, I should read more donations. Well, I can read them at the same time as I say, go to the link tree in the bio, follow me on the other platforms. Follow Oskar Quentin too, down here, the backup account. That's good for when this account gets banned. Nurse Elliot sent me $1 on Venmo to say, Nurse Elliot again unironically worked in the ICU in 2020. Virtually every COVID patient I had was unvaccinated in the ICU died. That was the worst time to work in medicine for exactly what you're describing. W's in the chat for Elliot for putting the work in. We love our nurses. And yeah, I'm glad I did a good job representing the hellscape that was your workplace back then. Because I was just talking about one thing, but yeah, it's like Trump saying that you don't need to get the vaccines. It's like the same thing. The outcomes are worse for people who don't get the vaccines. That blood is on his hands. Got spooked by my dog barking. Noodle, it's almost time to go play. Come here. Come here. What a fucking weird episode this was. I'm kind of like flabbergasted by how bizarre this episode was, but I do really appreciate everybody supporting the show. I really do appreciate that this is my full-time job and that I get to hire people to help me run the show so I can run longer. It's normally an emergency if I'm not done with the show by 1:15, but that's okay because I've got people to help me with it. So make sure you're following everywhere. Get those donations in if you want to support in that way. Road trip to get me new teeth? We'll see. That's the funniest thing out of this. The Chuds are going to be so mad if I get a new set of teeth. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 Central Time. Just as TikTok tells me that I've been inactive. Thank you, TikTok. I'll catch you guys tomorrow at 10 Central Time. And yes, we are celebrating. I believe we broke, I'll check the data, but I believe we broke 1,000 concurrent for the first time today. That's exciting. Paradox of Tolerance says I deserve a nap. Nope, hard work for me. I got a long day ahead of me. Back to work making the show great. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, TikTok. And goodbye, YouTube.